Broadcasting worldwide from the beautiful hill country in Texas, this is OneRadioNetwork.com. Well, we got our seatbelts on and our airbags in case we crash, because it's time for Tony Pantalleresco. That's the second Monday of the month. Tony's up in Windsor, Ontario. He's just a guy that knows a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff in the world of health and nutrition and healing. He's out of control. He's got YouTube videos that'll just make your head explode. Andrew Saul is going to be here tomorrow, and we're going to do some more doctoring of ourselves. After 2 hours with Tony, a couple hours with Dr. Andrew Saul. Pretty fun. 38 years natural health education. DoctorYourself.com. Andrew Goss, Marjorie Wildcraft, homegrown food, Thursday. And then on Thursday, Dr. John McGuff, Body by Science. It's a book that I read that's pretty fun. It's all about how to build muscles in a very creative way without having to be at the gym every day. I know you like to go so you can Google the girls, but just go and Google and you don't have to lift up stuff. Just look good. Just go and look good and you'll be fine. Tony, what's happening?
Not a whole lot. World, saving the planet per usual.
Yeah. Saving the whales. You got whales up there?
Not in my neck of the woods, no, but in northern Canada we do, and in western Canada, but not where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm too busy trying to just save the people, keep them healthy and keep them from being, obliterated with chemtrails and genetics and God knows what else.
God knows what. Now, to give folks a little background, you have a little spot there in Windsor that people come in, right? And you sell things?
Yeah, they come in. We consult with them sometimes. Sometimes they just come in and buy stuff, depending on whatever they want to do. And sometimes they come, they've been coming to me from all over lately, not just in my area, but everywhere. And I guess celebrityhood brings some attention to you, I guess.
Yeah. So it's like a little natural, like kind of a health food store kind of thing?
It's a shop. It's what we call a one-stop herb shop. You've got people who do beading and stuff can come in here and get beads and stuff. We've got a health food section as well, where we got herbs, vitamins, supplements, myself. So again, they come in and whatever strokes their boat, whether they believe in healing stones or making jewelry, or they come and look at the herbs or vitamins or whatever, and then they try to coordinate with them and try to help them along making the best decisions. Sometimes they hear stuff on the radio or TV that isn't going to, they've been sold a bill of goods, and I explain to them why some things just won't work, what they're being told, but then I show them and direct them what will work, and show them how to combine certain things, what not to eat, what to avoid in their diet if they're expecting any kind of real changes to occur. It's a whole
it's kind of
dynamic there. I mean, because a lot of people have an idea that they're eating good. Then when you show them what they're eating that isn't so good, then they
say, wait a minute, I thought that was good.
I thought that was really good.
I thought that was really good.
And then when you explain to them why it's not good, and I show them illustrations of, for instance, genetically engineered foods, and especially grains. Now grains actually take over your digestive system, and they take over your stomach, and genetically engineered foods are designed specifically to attack your digestive system and your reproductive system. When they start seeing the illustrations and they start seeing some of the information, they have a totally different perspective about health and really healthy after a while.
Yeah. Do you see where China, they don't want this GMO corn from the United States. You see that? A big story.
Yeah. Well, again, when I look at the media stuff there on that, that's all political stuff. Sometimes it's a retaliatory thing. China does sell genetically modified food. The difference between China and the United States is China labels theirs. We don't.
Well, they do.
Yeah, they label theirs. Sure, they do. The United States and Canada, because the stuff stems from here, we don't. They don't want it labeled here, because once people realize that they're eating genetics, they will stop. A lot of them will stop buying. Some people won't. I mean, when I was down in New Zealand years ago, New Zealand also labels their food genetically modified. People will still buy it. You know, a lot of times it's because they have no real other option because they're limited in their funds. Because let's face it, the food industry has made buying clean food, because I hate to even use the word organics because that doesn't mean a whole hill of beans anymore either. But clean food, they've put such a heavy load on the cost factor of that people can't afford it. And the funny thing is, it costs less to make that and to get it to market than it does the other stuff. But because, I was watching a program from the United Kingdom, and for instance, for an apple to get through the system, they've got computers with laser beams that hit these things to detect any kind of flaw. Now, if it isn't the right shape, the right size, the right diameter, or the right type of texture, it gets rejected. Now, one farmer who was selling potatoes had about 12 crates of the stuff sent back to him because it didn't fulfill the criteria of what this machine had designated. Some of the skins were too thick, some of the potatoes were too big, and there was nothing wrong with the potatoes, but because they limited what was coming to market, they put a premium on the cost. This is why I tell people all the time, grow your own stuff or buy direct from the farmer, not going to the grocery stores, because you're getting had there on almost every front, whether it be a health food store, which is selling this high-priced, overpriced food, or the regular grocery chains, which again is again, you're getting whatever you're going to get there. And I encourage that all the time, to support your local farmers and buy direct, and put that middleman that's causing this hyperinflation for healthy food out of business.
Yeah. 9 minutes after 9. Good advice there. 9 after 9 with Tony Pantalleresco. I got something for you from my body, Tony. I did a little stool sample, with a guy that we had on the show, D'Angelo, and he said I had a couple different Ascarius kind of hookworms and another one. And so he's got this little program. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to try it. And it's essential oils.
Okay.
And you put them in these capsules, and then you do them halfway. I start at May 7th, and then that's the half of the moon. And then the full moon, you do some different essential oils at the full moon, and then a couple other things as well. But you know what? After 2 days or 3 days, man, I started getting anxiety really bad too. So, have you ever had anxiety kind of thing? It's just really...
Yeah, I keep things simple. That is one way of doing it. But, the turpentine is more than enough.
Really? So...
what's turpentine? An essential oil.
Yeah. So, but I guess my question to you is when folks have these kind of things when they take something, what is it? Do you have any idea what that could be doing?
It could be a lot of things. There is a reaction obviously going on,
to the essential oils.
And the essential oils, don't forget, they penetrate the cellular membrane. It goes right into the brain. So by breathing the stuff can have a profound effect on how you think. And look at lavender. If I tell you to take a deep whiff of lavender, it'll sedate you. If I tell you to take a deep whiff of peppermint, it'll put you on red alert, like you're right up there. You're boosted.
So when you take an essential oil internally, talk about the mechanism. What goes on?
Same idea. You're instead of
goes right in there, right? Everywhere.
It'll penetrate. It's just like DMSO or turpentine.
Yeah,
they hit every cell. There's not one place they're not going to go, and it'll penetrate every nook and cranny you have inside of you. So if you do have a parasite or a worm or a fungi or whatever going on inside, there's going to be a reaction. And there will be a die-off reaction as well.
So the anxiety kind of feeling could be the reaction to a die-off, or it could be reaction to the oil, or both?
Both. Could be both.
Could be both.
I'm not sure what essential oils you're taking, but
I don't know what
combination you're taking.
They're all mixed up together.
Forget, this is one of the more powerful healing aids you have. It's right up there with peroxide, iodine, GSE, transfer factors. You're talking heavy-duty, high-gun stuff. When everybody starts poo-pooing essential oils, they really don't know what they're talking about. You got to figure this is a distillation of the plant, the oil content you're getting out of there, you're getting like 1,000% of the potency of the plant.
They're strong.
Yeah, it's really strong. So, I mean, back in the old days, this is where, for instance, Dr. Daniels is telling people to use the sugar cube with the turpentine, because back in the day, that's how they used to take essential oils orally. It was with either a honey or wine or a sugar cube. You needed a carrier unit, so it wouldn't singe your esophageal lining. So, I mean, if you look, there's a book out, and it's one of the best books you could ever get on essential oils and how to use them and how to take them orally. It's called The Practice of Aromatherapy by Jean Valnet.
You told me that, and I've got that book. Of course, I haven't read it, but I have it.
That is one of the...
That's the best one.
...sources I have ever seen for the common layman in regard to using essential oils, how to use them, what to apply. I mean, the guy used 24 essential oils during the Second World War to treat soldiers and wounded victims from gun wounds, gangrene, you name it. He was using these oils to fix people. So, I mean, it is a very powerful aid in your repertoire for helping your body heal.
Yeah.
When you're taking something that strong, I mean, basically, you're talking pharmaceutical-grade oils that are going to really have an impact on you. So, I mean, like I said, it penetrates and permeates through your whole system, not just one area. So,
so depending on the person, like myself, or if you're sensitive, it could maybe just not be the thing for you because you're too sensitive to it.
It all depends what combinations you're using, too. I don't know what he told you to take. I mean, like I said...
They're all mixed together, and then you just use an eyedropper and do 5 drops 3 times a day. During the break, I'll run downstairs and get it, and I'll let you know which ones he's using, and because he sends you the thing along. But I know they're strong. I mean,
5 drops sounds a lot to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I could maybe do 1 drop and see.
That's probably where I would have started you off 1 to 2 drops and worked you up to 5 because again, these things are huge. Now, again, he's dealing with you on a therapeutic level, so that's probably why he went that route. But I mean, generally speaking, I mean, even if you put them on topically, okay, you can even mix them with alcohol and rub them on topically. They penetrate very quickly into the system.
Oh.
Or you can even apply them with DMSO, or a lot of times they use a carrier oil, like another oil like almond oil or whatever, which allows a prolonged release of these oils in the system.
Almond oil?
Almost any oil will work, but almond oil is not an overly thick oil or apricot oil. They're thin enough where they coat the skin, and they allow the release of these oils to go through your body on a more gradual release rather than one big shot. Again, some of the things that may be going on with the essential oil when you're taking it that strong, you could be, killing off some of the healthy bacteria in the colon as well. So
Yeah.
they're that powerful.
Yeah. So I wonder why I've never really had that issue at all with the pure pine gum spirits, also known as turpentine.
Okay, but are you cutting it as well?
Well, I put it with sugar.
Okay, well, there you go.
But I've done a teaspoon at a time without feeling weird.
Okay, well, again, it's a different oil. I mean, I don't know what combinations he's given you. This is the thing. You're using one oil as opposed to using several different ones.
Yeah, 5 different.
Okay, so
well, maybe there's more than 5. I'll grab it, as I say, during the break and just so let you all know. But it's funny. I was doing I found a really cool acupuncture guy that I like, and I was telling him I'm going to do this thing, and he said, well, what does he use? I said, well, essential oils. He looked at me right in the eyes. He goes, they're really strong. Be careful.
Yeah.
And I didn't really hear him. He said that to me, but I didn't.
They're nothing. They
you don't want to fool around with these things, boy.
No, they take no prisoners. They kick ass, kick butt, and take no prisoners.
Yeah.
Yeah, they.
Do they kill the good guys too? The friendly bacteria?
Sure, they can. I mean, anything that's any bacteria. I don't care what anybody tells you, whether it be silver, iodine, garlic, whatever. There is going to be some loss of good bacteria. That's a given.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's antibacterial. So, I mean, when they say it's not going to really hurt or cause a problem with the healthy bacteria, that's, again, all relative to the person who's using the stuff, dietary lifestyles.
Sure.
The whole thing. So, I mean, you can't go by that either. But, again, it's not something to be alarmed at. All you got to do is just eat some yogurt or some cheese.
Sure, just eat some more stuff, right?
That's it. And then you're fine,
well, part of this program, he wants us taking probiotics every day as well, so he knows that, right?
You have to. You have to. There's no doubt about it.
You know that.
Yeah, just like turpentine. If you're taking that, you should be taking probiotic with it as well. I mean, The whole idea is this. This is where people get really screwed up in this regard. They're all so busy taking stuff out of the body, don't realize that you have to refortify the body from what you're taking out. For instance, you're taking mercury out, you're taking aluminum out, cadmium, whatever. Well, you still got to put back in the body magnesium, potassium, zinc, manganese, calcium. You still got iodine. You still got to put these back in because you already were low to begin with because these metals had displaced those minerals out of your system.
Yeah.
So you got to put that back in. Same with anything you're dealing with. Okay, you've got worms or parasites in the colon. Obviously, they're feeding just like your healthy bacteria is. Well, okay, you're going to lose something. These things are going to die off, and your healthy bacteria is going to also help to try to break that down. You're going to lose stuff all the way around through the feces or whatever. So you got to put that back in as well. So it's not about just detoxing. Detoxing is one part of this equation. Any group, whether it be it doesn't matter which one you're doing, whether they're doing coffee enemas or whether they're doing they got on the other end of the spectrum. They're giving people juices, they're giving people live foods, they're giving people probiotics. They're restoring in the system what wasn't there to begin with, and then again, when you're taking stuff out that you're displacing out of your system, whether it's like I said, mercury or whatever, you got to put back in again what should have been there in the first place. If you don't, you wind up becoming dysfunctional.
So you're saying, if I hear you right, Tony, that these chelators, regardless of what they are, whether it be chlorella or DMP, anything, they're taking out a lot of the good stuff as well.
Yeah, there's no discrimination.
There's no discrimination. They just don't know. Oh, just pick out the bad stuff.
Well, it's a metal, okay? And maybe some of you have an excess amount of calcium in you, which is not a bad thing that this is pulling it out. Some of you may have an excess amount of other minerals in your system because so many people have been hearing so many different gurus on so many different topics that they've overloaded their bodies with some of the good stuff, which can be also detrimental. Taking too much zinc or manganese can cause problems for the body, or too much copper. So, when you're looking at like an SCS, for instance, sodium thiosulphate, it strips everything out of you. There's nothing, I would have even given you something simple as that. I try to keep things simple, for certain things. Almost anything, really. You try to keep it simple because once you complicate things for people, they lose it. They can't keep up with it, or they just lose heart.
Yeah.
So, turpentine and sodium thiosulphate, those two combinations will knock out parasites, they'll knock out metals, they'll knock out morgellons. They knock out a lot of things. I just had somebody comment to me on the YouTube and was trying to tell me how turpentine was a poison. And my response to him was that the only thing poisonous was his ignorance, and that he needed to do some research and not go on autopilot just because you hear something is poisonous. And do some real research on what's really being told today, because so many people are on autopilot, it's not even funny. So when you're looking at turpentine, it's been used for so many different things. Why not just stick with something simple that does work and is very effective? Why not stick with, a high sulfur content, whether you're using high doses of MSM or sodium thiosulphate, which is far stronger? These will do the same thing.
Well, though, I've been doing sulfur pretty full on, as you know, for 6 months. And it's a good one, boy. You can feel this stuff, Tony. And I still, according to this test, had these parasites in my small intestine. So, and I've done my share of sodium thiosulphate and turpentine as well. And so I'm kind of confused of why they would still be there.
Well, you might have got back in your food.
Oh, they could have got back in.
Sure. You knock them out. It doesn't mean...
Okay.
Everyone's got this
So it's not something that's been around there for 12 years or something?
No, not necessarily.
I see. They just come in and out.
Okay, let's get on the thing on cancer for a minute, right?
Okay.
Medical field says you cannot cure cancer, but you can put it in remission. That's a lot of baloney. It's a lot of BS. Pure BS. You can get rid of cancer, and you can get it again. It can come back again if you repeat the behavioral patterns or got exposed to what caused it in the first place. So, we've had people here who have, just with the formula recipes we've given them, have beaten cancer. But 2-3 years later, they got it again. And because, again, they got re-exposed to whatever. I had a guy down in Arizona, for instance, that had a cancer lesion on his cheek. So we gave him a formula, took it out. He went to the Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic told him they couldn't cure it. So after 2 weeks using the remedies, he went back and it was gone. So the guy said, "Well, it'll come back." So because he was melanoma, skin cancer because of the sun. So So it came back, and sure enough, it did come back. But then what we did is we put some DMSO and clove on there, essential oil of clove. We dabbed it on the area, and never came back again. Period. Took it right out. He felt like there was a parasite or something in his skin, because he felt like something was crawling around, and whatever was there, it was terminated, and he never had it back. So again, it doesn't mean because you've beaten cancer or you went into remission. That remission stuff is such horse hockey, it's not even funny. Again, it's a constant fear factor and anxiety factor that they put people in, that it's just like anything else you've had. You've had a common cold, you get over it, you get it again, whenever it comes again. Anything is the same way. So even when you're dealing with parasites, I mean, you have to realize our food supply in North America is not the best thing going, and with all the imports that they're bringing in from all over the world, it's not inconceivable that you can pick up a worm or a parasite just by eating something without thinking.
So that's kind of maybe why the old timers used to do turpentine once a month or twice a year, or they would do a parasite thing a couple times a year. They would just do it, right?
Just maintain and protect.
Do it. Yeah, they would just do it. Yeah, they didn't go do testing. They would just take some turpentine.
It's just common sense, right? Well, there was a guy that I was reading once in Africa, and guys were saying that they didn't spray their crop, but people were eating, and they're eating the organics, but people were getting parasites. So there was an argument for using sprays to minimize any parasitical overload going on. So people were loaded with the parasites, so then they had to go to their medical people or the shamans or whatever they were going to get dewormed or cleaned up. So I mean, there are, when you're buying stuff, it doesn't matter where you're buying. I don't care where you shop. Make sure you clean your food. Seriously, wash your stuff. Strip off the pesticides, because again, this can also open you up to whatever. They are using pesticides and organics. They call them natural pesticides or organic pesticides, but they do use them. You need to clean your stuff. I mean, we did the last video we did was something for the skeptics, and in there I read about Codex Alimentarius and what Codex Alimentarius compliant countries are supposed to be doing. And one of the major things you're supposed to be doing, regardless of where you're buying your food, if you're buying from any mainstream or Whole Foods or health food stores, they are to strip the nutritional value off these foods. Now, a lot of this stuff isn't coming from the farmer; it's coming straight from where they're taking them to, and they're either irradiating them or stripping them down with glyphosates or whatever they're planting them with. So this is all part of the agenda there. So a lot of foods that people think they're eating that is safe or healthy or got some value to them, it's been a real big misconception. When you see that USDA label on there,
the organic thing?
Yeah, that USDA is the biggest farce going. If anybody looks back to 1906, they'll find that the USDA has done nothing but derail the food supply and the health system of the United States and throughout the world. So it's not something to feel comfortable with. When I see something that says USDA on it, I leave it alone. I don't even go near it. It means so little, and it's such a that is an indicator to me that when I see that sticker on there, that somehow, some way, that food has become corrupted or maligned in some way or fashion, because that's what they do. So it's not what everybody thinks. Again, it seems like everything's like on a double speech pattern. This appears to be good, supposed to be safe, but in reality, it's just the opposite.
The old 1984 thing.
Yep. Which, by the way, I think everybody should watch that movie. I rewatch it sometimes, and I was watching it again, and I did this one scene I didn't catch the first couple times I watched it, but it was an interesting concept there when the guy was reading something or listening to something about war. Because how wars are being waged not to be won, but to be perpetuated, that we be in a constant state of perpetuated war. And it's almost like a biblical reference to a prophecy. You will hear wars and rumors of wars, so they see that you are not alarmed. So this must take place. Well, it's the same idea. We are hearing rumors of wars over here, wars over there, and it's this constant threat of losing our rights and freedoms. You always hear that rhetoric, and we're losing our rights and freedoms anyway. Every time the government passes a law or legislation, goes another right or freedom.
Right. It's so hilarious. United States is around the world. Here's what they're saying. What do they say, Tony? promoting democracy, right? So then whenever there's an election that they don't like, well, then they don't recognize it. So,
Yeah.
like in Ukraine, they just had another election yesterday.
Yeah.
These
and,
people,
Civil War.
you know, so these people don't want to, they either want to join Russia or they don't. I don't know. I don't pay attention to most of it. And
that all is
and then the United States, they say, oh, well, we don't recognize that election. It's hilarious, man. Yeah.
Well, you got to remember, it's all about a pipeline, natural gas pipeline in Siberia,
Sure.
which I find funny. You may have noticed this over there. The United States gave $1 billion supposedly to the Ukrainian government, which went into the Russian banks. Canada gave $250 million. The European Union gave $7 billion. And I bet you any money, just like in my country here, in your country, I bet you the price of gas jumped up severely after they gave that money away.
Oh, sure.
We're paying for it through the gas pump. Now, I don't know who gave them the right to go just throw this money away, since the United States is broke and Canada is broke. This is what they keep telling us anyway. And yet, somehow, we can give $1 billion, $250 million toward a pipeline. Go figure that one out.
These guys, you know.
I mean, it's funny, but every time they give money away, look at the price of food, look at the price of the pump, look at the price of whatever you're used to buying. Watch it jump up exponentially.
Okay, stay right there. Tony Pantalleresco is with us, and we'll give you all of his contact. But Herbs and Beadworks on the YouTube channel, you can just put his name in as on YouTube, and you'll find all of his. He's got lots and lots, and then we'll give you his website that I can never remember, and then you can go there and get a lot of this stuff that he's got transcripts of the shows too. Fascinating stuff. Well, we love the aloe product, and yeah, I'm surprised that I even have any kind of bugs at all. But, you know, the more I think about it, I keep going back and forth on this, so I just keep vacillating. But, oh, gosh, I don't know. I suspect if you did anybody took their poop today, here, give me your poop and put it in a jar and send it away, that they're going to find something, probably. So I'm not sure about this whole parasite thing. Anyway, but that's neither here nor there. But I was about to say, not sure how I could have some, because I do this aloe ferox thing regularly. It sure is working for the Doodle and Bria with the fleas and ticks. Boy, we're having the best year ever. Of course, it is only May, but by now we usually have lots. Now there's a couple on there, but you know, when I pick them off, they're mostly dead. They're just kind of laying there. They're just they don't get big. They don't have any. They just probably, I think, when they do bite them, which is rare, they don't like they must not like the taste of their blood with this aloe that they take maybe 4 or 5 times a week, maybe 3, 4, 5 times a week. I put them in capsules and just wrap them up and put them in some raw meat. That's what they have for dinner, and they'll get 2 of those maybe 3, 4, 5 times a week, just depending. And I think it's really, I know it's helping. It'll really help. And of course, they're drinking sulfur water, and they do some really food-based vitamin. And every now and then some shark cartilage, and we put some fat in their food. But the aloe, this really bitter thing, has been known to keep bugs away, although it hasn't worked perfectly for me, I guess. But keep bugs away, and I feel real confident. I'll probably, every 2 or 3, 4 years, just have them tested for heartworms, and if they got any, well, then just load up on some different herbs. Bria had some heartworms tests. Again, it could just be like parasites, but about 4 or 5 years ago, we did a bunch of Hulda Clark herbs and had her test it in about 2 months, and no heartworms. So these herbs work, you know, if you find the right ones and give it at the right time. Anyway, this aloe is a great product. You can get the powder, or you can get the aloe ferox, and it's really helped my colon and digestive system immensely. And I know that's been part of my great colon reset that I went through. And I take this probably 3 times a week, a couple capsules, 3 times or so. Could maybe even do it more and just go after those little buggies maybe. Why not? Because my body really likes it. And it helps elimination too, and that's always fun. And I put it in a double cap, the ferox and the big part of it, the powder, and then the extract and the little parts, smush them together, and then pop them right down with some water. It's a really nice way to take it. You don't want to do it in tea, or you could, but boy, man, they're really, I'm talking, this stuff is so bitter. These plants get to be, just huge and very, very old. He has an aloe ferox bitter juice, Rice Bran Superfood, the Baobab, B-A-O-B-A-B, fruit powder, Camu Camu, the Robios extract, freeze-dried wheatgrass. Got some really nice products. They're all from, it comes down South Africa way, and that's on Immunologic on OneRadioNetwork.com. You'll see it right on the front page there. Previously with Master Herbalist Stephen Buhner on pine pollen.
It became a regular part of the diet because it's such a good nutrient food. And pine pollen, more of a nutrient herb that helps the whole body be more vital and strong. I became interested in it, looking at how you could use it to raise male testosterone levels for guys in middle age. So I began looking at that in some depth and found that there's a number of plants on Earth that contain testosterone in them that's pharmaceutically identical to the testosterone in our bodies, and that sort of started the whole thing off.
And pine pollen is one of those.
Pine pollen is probably the highest in testosterone of any plant that I've found so far. I mean, it's exactly molecularly identical to that in our body.
Pine pollen from Surthrival. It's strong. It works. Click and order all Surthrival links. Front page. OneRadioNetwork.com. You know what, on the aloe and that immunologic, I failed to mention something very, very important, if you don't mind, is, let me do this over here. Put promo code OneRadio and you get 10% off. Promo code OneRadio on the immunologic for the aloe and the baobab and all those, and you get a 10% off. Promo code OneRadio. That's important.
We are listener-supported One Radio Network. Talk to Patrick now, 888-663-6386, or email patrick@oneradionetwork.com.
Okay, the second Monday of the month, we do Tony Pantalleresco. He's up in Windsor, Ontario. And you can do the Herbs and Beadworks thing on YouTube and find all the videos. And give me that nice long website address for your written material, Tony.
All right, to go to my webpage, http://augmentinforce.50webs.com. Make sure the 50 is a 50, not don't spell it out, but the number 50.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go to the YouTube, www.youtube.com, and then type in Herbs Plus Beadworks. And if you're ever in Windsor, Ontario, we're located on Ottawa Street. Just look us up. Herbs Plus Beadworks. So we got a big sign out. Come on in, and you can check out the store. And if you want to talk with him, if you don't have to.
That's right. If you don't want to talk to him, don't talk to him. Just don't talk to him.
Either way, I was going to mention something to you about the bug thing, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to understand the nature of these bugs today have been genetically enhanced. So a lot of things that we've used in the past that was very effective, like black walnut, clove, artemisian, or wormwood.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the things that we used to use in the past does not have the same effect anymore because a lot of the stuff that we eat that's been genetically engineered, and we're all eating it without us being aware of it, no matter where you're again buying your stuff, will enhance these bugs, make them more genetically altered and a lot more potent. So some of the things that used to work very easily in the past may not be as effective for us as like it used to be. This is why sometimes fasting is important because it allows you to take a break from loading the body up. When I tell people here to leave the grains alone, I mean all grains, cereals, breads, whatever. There's a rapid change in development in their health. A lot of fungal issues just go away. A lot of bacterial issues go away. The more gallons that's in their bodies starts to diminish or gets reduced dramatically because the more gallons feeds on a lot of this stuff. You have to understand that the nature of what is going on around us with smart meters and frequencies and chemtrails all has a bearing on our immune system as well. Our immune system is constantly on red alert. So it wouldn't take much for something to get inside and, since you're already in fight mode, break something down or cause a weakness in the system. And we have to start interpreting these things from that perspective now. It's not like 50 years ago, okay, you ate a piece of meat or some fruit and there was a worm or something inside of it, you ate it, and so something got down there, and you took, cassia bark or, like you said, the aloe vera, which would have flushed it out of the system. Now these things are they're basically parasites on steroids or fungus on steroids.
So
people
what they
can't get rid of candida like they used to. And
what do they do? Do they?
Because the candida is feeding on the genetically engineered foods in your body, which is altering the bacteria load in the system. That's why turpentine and these essential oils work, because it penetrates that and flushes it out. That's why the sodium thiosulphate works, because again it's such a powerful salt that it gets in the system and flushes this out. So when we're dealing with stuff today, we have to start thinking in terms of genetically or bioengineered pathogens, bioengineered parasites, bioengineered bacteria or fungi. Because every time I look around, this is how I deal with people these days. Every time I do my research, I'm always seeing some new release of some kind of super bug, or because you're always hearing that term, right? Super bug. Super bug. Yeah. What made this bug super bug? Did it come in from another planet on a rocket and came to our planet, and all of a sudden the yellow sun gave us superpowers? How did this become a super bug? Unless it was somehow super enhanced by some lab or some kind of development. So when we're looking at a lot of the stuff today, this is why it's becoming so difficult for so many people to recover, or they're constantly being reinfected with things all the time, is because of the nature of the pathogens today are not the normal stuff. Friends of mine out in the county are telling me today they're looking at yellow jackets and hornets, and these things are huge. So what's happened is they've been genetically augmented through what they're feeding, and it's altering their DNA. So you've got a bug now that's twice the size it once was because of something that it has mutated it. And that's basically what's going on in the human system. We're dealing with mutations now that were never there before. That's why it's critical that I tell people all the time, you look at the Codex thing we did, and like I said, the last video we did is something for the skeptics. And I think everybody should watch this. So anybody who who's trying to talk to people about either the food supply being safe or the chemtrails will actually see that we posted it, that the Space Treaty of 2001 talks about chemtrails as a second means of weaponizing space. And it mentions the word chemtrail. It doesn't say contrail. It says chemtrail right on it. And when you're looking at Codex Alimentarius, you can see how their whole agenda is to strip down anything that of any value in the food supply, because they know that foods can heal your body, and that's what you need primarily, more than anything else that you're going to take, is food that has the full value of nutrition. So when that's been depleted and you're being exposed to genetics, you're being exposed to chemical warfare from above. Again, I don't know if you've seen it down there, but we've seen it here where they're now mixing the chemtrails above us. Or you see one black cloud or stream going and then a white one beside it or above it. So they're mixing the stuff up, so now you see it. Let me point out something real quick on this. If you're outside, it may not be applicable to your area because you're in a hotter area, but if you're outside and you're around, it gets very heavily moisture or a lot of humidity, and you see a heavy dosing of chemtrails, within 24 hours, if you're out there and exposed, you may wind up with a respiratory issue, because that's been happening here because of the nature of the mixes. So again, be aware of that, and be aware if you are out there, then start immediately on high doses of vitamin C, high doses of sulfur, high doses of iodine to negate or neutralize the effects of these particulates.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen any kind of weird things like that, but 19 before the hour, they're spraying them though around here. We see them, but they're kind of different in flavor these days. They are kind of weird looking, these guys. I don't know what they are. Okay, let's see what here. Let's do this one. Let's do an email here for you, Tony. What a wonderful show that you two put on. Thanks. We are pretty wonderful guys. I'm age 55 and in menopause. Blood work showed thyroid below normal. Trying to consume about 90 grams of protein a day to see if it will come up. With too much uncomfortable weight gain, is there a natural way to restore thyroid in today's hypo world?
World? She needs iodine. She's low in iodine right off the bat, and she should be combining with selenium, tyrosine, and possibly vitamin D. The added protein would be good if she had hyperthyroidism, but she's talking hypo, if I'm hearing it right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then she needs iodine. No doubt. Lugos would be the way to go. I'm a big fan of Lugos because of Lugos' overall body protection from the digestive system, reproductive system, thyroid. Women need twice the iodine that men do due to the fact they have more estrogen receptors that have to be converted from estradiol to estriol. For women, the thyroid and the breast compete for iodine. So in her case, I start off 1 to 4 drops a day and go up to maybe as high as 8 drops, but start off with 1 to 4 and get used to that. She may find all of a sudden the weight loss or the estrogen overload may diminish, and she may see a reduction in body mass. But, yeah, iodine is the way to go there.
And then you said the other things for hypo would be vitamin D, selenium.
Selenium, citrate. She should be using selenium citrate and tyrosine. 500 milligrams of tyrosine, selenium, maybe once or twice a day. Selenium citrate, 100 micrograms twice a day, and the iodine, again, 1 to 4 drops. And vitamin D, 1,000 to 2,000 IUs. Make sure it's not a fish oil source. Make sure that vitamin D is a non-fish oil source. Apply that and see how that works. I mean, it's still going to take time. There's not going to be an overnight fix.
And that may kick up the thyroid.
Her menopausal stuff will balance out as well.
And that can kick up the thyroid, Tony, that little combo right there.
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
The selenium is there to regulate the intake of the iodine in the thyroid. It also is there to protect the reproductive system. It regulates the heart, regulates the brain. Tyrosine, again, works with dopamine levels as well as boosting the iodine sufficiency to fight off different viruses. And the vitamin D, again, for the parathyroid. So, yeah, it's all part and part.
What's the dose on selenium again?
100 micrograms.
Just 100 mcgs. Yeah, okay.
Twice a day.
Oh, twice a day, 2 times. And the tyrosine?
500 milligrams twice a day.
500 mgs, 2x. Okay, and then we got the vitamin D and the iodine. Okay. Here's an email from Maria. Is cesium chloride good for killing cancer? Cesium chloride.
Definitely. It's used primarily for brain cancers because it is a salt, and it's used for testicular cancers. If you do use cesium chloride, you must up your potassium levels because it will deplete potassium. But yeah, it's one of the most effective ways for treating that kind of issue. Some you will even mix it with internally by taking a 5% solution of DMSO in conjunction with the cesium chloride so that it will penetrate the blood-brain barrier, kill the brain cancers.
What is cesium chloride? I've never heard of that one before.
It's a salt.
It's a salt. Huh.
Yeah, it's a salt. They've used it in the past. If you look it up, you'll find they've done a lot of huge therapies with it for treating brain and testicular cancers. I mean, it's basically like I said, salt is, when the Bible says have salt in yourself, I mean that's taking it literally because salt is such a cleaning, healing mineral. All this nonsense about keeping the salt down, lower your salt. Usually if you lower your salt, that's when you have the osteoporosis issues because salt is a mild alkalizer, but it's a cellular cleanser. When I tell people to take baths in 5 different salts, the reason being is because the way they penetrate into the cells and flush out more gallons or whatever might be trapped in the skin. So when you're taking sodium thiosulphate, it's another salt, bound with sulfur. So salt is a very powerful healer. It's, again, doesn't matter if it's genetically engineered or not, salt will flush it out. It's just something that I encourage everybody to use more salt, sea salt or whatever salt you want. You do need salt. You're talking about the one guy who's saying use the preserving salt because of, again, the chlorine in it or the chloride in it, which again increases hydrochloric acid production, which kills parasites and viruses. For the digestive system. Yeah. So definitely, it's a go-to thing for dealing with cancers.
Okay.
Of that nature.
Hi, what's your first name? Where are you calling from?
This is Jim from Santa Fe. I have about 3 or 4 questions for Tony.
Okay, go ahead.
The first one is on the ECAC tea. I know the originals are 4 herb, and they also make an 8 herb. And I've been taking the 8 herb. Is there a big difference between the two?
Yeah, there is. You're using fluorescence, not ECAC. That one I don't like because they added the red clover to it, and red clover has high levels of estrogen. So if you got an estrogen-dominant cancer, it's not one I would recommend. I just usually stick to the original 4 herb one. That's what we use here, and that's what we've seen the most effective. Even when I was down in Arizona, all I ever gave them was the original SCIT with the 4-herb formula. We gave them with IP6, and we gave it to them with a diffraction, and we see results with that formulation left, right, and center. So I'm not a big fan of that one for that reason. If they took that out, if they took the red clover out of that one, that wouldn't be a bad mix either. We have our own in-house one where we add chaparral, black walnut, and seaweed with ours as well for the iodine content to regenerate the glands. So, I mean, that is the difference between the two. If you got the four herb, sometimes more is not better. People see this thing, they say, oh, this has got 8 herbs, so it's got to be stronger. That's not necessarily the case. They got one SCX brand up in Michigan where they've actually added cat's claw to the original formula, which I thought was a really good idea. So if it's working for you, stick with it. But again, it's not my first choice.
Okay, yeah, well, I ordered a little bit of it, so I'm going to use that up, and then maybe I'll try the 4. My next question is, when you're taking an antibiotic, it removes the bad bacteria as well as the good bacteria, and you need the good bacteria. So would you recommend taking a probiotic if you're taking an antibiotic?
Well, there's two rules of thought on that one. Some will tell you to wait till after you get done. With the antibiotics they're giving out today, there's a product out in the market called BioK. Mm-hmm. It's a 50 billion cell product. There's actually another one. I forget who puts it out now, but they've got one now as high as 400 billion cells. Okay, so again, if you're on a real strong high-end antibiotic, I would tell you definitely use it at the same time, just at different times of the day. Most antibiotics are not really required. You know, if you took a garlic, a whole bulb of garlic, put it in the blender, peeled it, put it in the blender, and added vodka or wine to it, and blend that for 10 minutes and strained it, that would be the best antibiotic you could ever take known. It will clear things up. It will clear up a toothache within a day.
Huh.
So again, you don't really need to
say that again. How do you do that? You take a whole bulb, like you're talking 10 or 20 cloves, right?
Right. Peel them, throw them in the blender. And take a cup and a half of either vodka. In your case, you got the Everclear down there, right?
Right.
Put the Everclear in there. Blend it for 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Strain it. Put in a glass jar. I even add MSM to the ones I make. Strain it, put it in the jar, and use a quarter of a teaspoon. That's all you need. Wow. That will peel the paint off your backside. That's how strong that is.
So you're not letting it age or anything.
Don't have to.
What's the garlic? What's the alcohol doing to it?
Well, it gets it into your body.
Just gets it into your body. I see.
It's a penetrant, right? You absorb it, but you're only using like a quarter of a teaspoon. You're not using much. I mean, if you take more than that, you'll know it.
And you can just
you don't really need a lot of these antibiotics. I mean, I'm not sure why you're taking the antibiotic, but you have alternatives. I mean, cat's claw, olive leaf, these are far better. Yeah. Even iodine, for that matter, as an alternative.
My last question is, if a person took an antibiotic and they want to get it out of their system, what can they take to get out of their system? I heard it has to get out of the system by itself. Can it be taken out with any type of herbs?
Well, you can use sodium thiosulphate. That'll take it out. You can use again the high level of probiotics I mentioned, which will flush it out. I mean, you can give yourself an enema if you want. That'll do it as well. So again, when we're looking at flushing this stuff out, basically it's just by regenerating the healthy bacteria and putting, and again, taking whatever. You can take high doses of vitamin C or high doses of magnesium again to flush it out. That's another way of doing it. But you still have to replace what again has been the bacteria. You got to put it back in.
Okay, thank you, Tony.
You're quite welcome. A doc that I did a blood test with, and then also this parasite guy said that he found some pretty good doses of candida right in my system, in my colon. And I mentioned this to this acupuncturist. He said, "Well," he said, "you could just do some oregano oil for that, and it'll work." And you know what, Tony and ladies and gentlemen, I did. I just took it one day. You know, a few, like 2 or 3, these little pearls. You know, twice a day, and man, this candida started coming out of me. Just one day. Yep. Well, it's powerful, this oregano oil, boy. Whew.
Yeah, it's a delivery system. Well, if you want something powerful, go with thyme.
Yeah, well, thyme is one of those essential oils. I forgot to get it. I'll go down next break. But thyme is one of those essential oils. Isn't that fascinating?
It's very powerful. It's stronger than oregano, so I can see why you might have an anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah, thyme is one of the ones in this formula.
It's powerful. I mean, on the ORAC level, it's way higher than the.
Isn't that crazy?
Than oregano, cinnamon, essential oil of cinnamon, essential oil of oregano, where they make their oil of oregano from. Their ORAC levels are about 107, 108,000. Thyme is like about 160. It's way up there. I mean, the only thing, the strongest, I'm surprised they didn't give you any clove. Because clove is like 10 million on the ORAC.
It's probably in there too,
But that's, again, and you've got, that's why. I mean, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
So,
of course, if I could ever make that rosemary concoction, which I can't get to work, but I still got it. It's just never frozen, so I can still
okay,
use
I'll show you another way you can make that stronger.
Okay.
All you got to do is once you extract it, okay, you filter it out, pour in about 6 ounces in a stainless steel pot, and boil that down to a half an ounce. Like simmer that, boil it right down till you get near a half ounce, and keep stirring it as you get closer to the bottom. When you get there, shut it off, pull it out, and pour it into a container. Now you've got rosemary on steroids because you've super concentrated this down.
Oh, so you do the rosemary with the alcohol, right?
Strain it.
And strain it.
Yep.
Yeah, mix it up and then strain it through a cheesecloth kind of thing.
Yep.
And then you put it in and cook it.
Yeah, you boil it down.
Oh, so boil it down.
Yeah, so once you get it down low, just lower the heat because it gets really strong.
Yeah.
And as it gets down, get a wooden spoon or whatever and keep stirring it into your little pot. You get down to about, like I say, a half an ounce, 15 mils. Stop it, pull it off the heat, let it cool, or pour it into a container, let it cool. And it may gum up on you, like it'll get really thick.
Mm-hmm.
Only use a drop or two of that. That's all you need.
And what does that do to the body, that kind of concoction?
Your brain will pop. You're like, hey, I'm alive. Your heart will be balanced. It's got over, like I say, 10 different antioxidants to it. It fights cancer, protects the liver. Basically, what you've done is you've taken the herb and turned it more or less into a pharmaceutical on the strength level. So, I mean, I've done this with mixing 4 or 5 different herbs and done the same thing. Like we've got rhodiola with cinnamon and nettle and guarana in it because the guarana and nettle boosts testosterone. Guarana is an estrogen blocker. Rhodiola is an adaptogen, so it's a really good combination. And I simmered that right down. I even mixed some of that with wheat germ oil, and what a kick that has when you put the two together. Because
what a kick.
yeah, wheat germ and rhodiola help with people who are living in high altitudes because it helps the way it increases the oxygen flow to the blood through the body. So, I mean, you can make a lot of things, and you can super concentrate whatever you're making, so that instead of spending a small arm and a leg at a health food store to buy some of the stuff, you can make it yourself. I mean, even the oil of oregano, we show you how to make that on the YouTube, and that's just a very simple procedure. You take the essential oil of oregano, take 1 ounce of olive oil, add about 80 drops. I start to tell everybody off 1 to 10 drops in the videos because, again, we're doing videos. I don't know, I want to make sure people don't overdo it. But if you want to make it the same strength that you're buying the stuff at the health food store, you need about 70 or 80 drops in a 1 ounce container. Percuss it, shake it up, let it sit for a day. You just made oil of oregano.
That's oil of oregano. Boy, that's powerful stuff, man.
That's all it is.
Here's an email from Darren. Is it okay to take iodine on the tongue, or should it be mixing it with water or some other fluid? I'm taking it straight on the tongue, but I have heard some people saying it's not really safe, could corrode the teeth and kill friendly bacteria.
It could also burn out his tongue.
Don't do that.
I don't know. Sometimes I get stunned by some of these things I hear sometimes. I've taken it straight once, and then never did it again. So I'm not sure why you'd put something like that on your tongue. I understand that some of the old remedies will tell you to put it under the tongue to get better absorption. I've always found that sometimes I would dispute some of that theory on that. But iodine on the tongue is crazy in my mind. Okay, you should be using some sort of carrier. Again, you will burn tissue with this. This is,
it's powerful, huh?
And it burns like hell too. I don't know. I mean, this guy must not have any sensitivity to the tongue.
What about putting it on just topically on the skin?
That's different. You can do that. I mean, if you
Some
want to
people
even
do that.
Mix it with an alcohol for better penetration, you can do that too. But I mean, anytime you take something like that orally, it's good to take it with a carrier. Whether you mix it with oil, mix it with tea, mix it with wine, something. Don't just take it straight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Please ask Tony how to kill scabies and stop the itching, from Bob in California. Bob is itching in California with scabies.
All right. Well, I'll take the salt bath that we suggest. Quarter cup of borax, quarter cup of Epsom salt, cup of baking soda. If you want to add trisodium phosphate to it, a quarter cup, and then add a cap full of turpentine. And when you're running the water, make sure you stir this in really, really good. I've had people tell me that, they've taken the turpentine bath and burned the blazes out of them. And I said, okay, did you mix it up? No, we just put it in there. Because turpentine will concentrate itself anywhere in the tub. So wherever you're sitting or your skin gets exposed, if you don't mix it well or disperse it in the water, it can be super concentrated and cause a burning sensation.
And just a little bit, he said a cap, not a cup.
Right, a cap, exactly. I've had people pour a cup in.
Oh, boy. Oh, I can't imagine.
Well, the guy told me, I said, yep, your genitals must have been on fire. He says, more than you can imagine. I said, yep. and I had a woman do the same thing.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh, her flower must have been inflamed. She said, yes, it was. And I said, okay. So I try to reiterate this, that when you're putting this stuff in, mix it up. You got to mix it up anyway, so the salts will dissolve in the bath as well. You might want to add borax to it, a quarter cup of borax. Again, the borax will neutralize the chlorine in the water, and it will help. Again, it's another salt, and it should purge out of this topically what is there on the skin and help renew the skin. Internally, again, I would give you Lugol's iodine to take orally, again, to renew the glands inside, to restore the immune function, and eliminate all grains, breads, cereals, pastas, rice, and corn out of your diet. No soy of any kind. If you're drinking any of those Ensure Boost products, they must be eliminated. No microwave cooking. No canola oil. Canola oil just literally destroys your DNA and scars your thyroid. So again, do not use these foods. I mean, this is usually diet related or hygiene or bad hygiene, one or the other, or maybe both. But that's the only way to. That's one of the ways you can clear it up. One of the ways that seems to be very effective.
And as you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you buy anything, even if it says organic, boy, they'll sneak that canola in oil on you. So be careful, because it's in a lot of places.
Yep.
Yeah, boy, it's bad news bears, isn't it?
Well, it's not just that. Even the soy, what they've done, is instead of putting soy, they'll say TVP or HVP or AVP or HPP or MSG, and this is all soy. Natural and artificial flavors, this is usually all soy as well. So when you see these kind of things, that's basically soy in your food or in whatever products you're buying. So again, learn to interpret what you're reading. We are, again, dealing with that type of mentality today.
Yeah. Okay, one more before the top of the break, and I'll run down and get that list for you just for fun. Here's from Valerie. She is in Virginia. Recommendations for ischemic stroke recovery. 9 years. Paralysis, left side, arm, hand, leg, and foot. Brain and vision are fine. People have also all sorts of info and prevention, but not recovery.
Recovery, that's okay. She should be using 3 things. Niacinamide, 500 milligrams, inositol, 500 milligrams, and wheat germ oil. Okay, get on that. Again, the B3 or niacinamide and inositol, one of each 3 or 4 times a day. The wheat germ oil twice a day. They would even get her on iodine. And that should help.
Huh. Really? And so how does that help to redo the nerves or whatever got damaged? Is that what it's doing?
Well, what happens is the brain is shut off, and the communication of the brain to the body, to that part of the body, is not getting there.
Mm-hmm.
And so what does inositol do? It helps, again, with the connection in the head. So does B3. And what does iodine do? Iodine, again, restores the body's ability to, again, renew the glands and get things going. If she's had this for 9 years, man, it's unbelievable. Because, I mean, usually when you have a stroke, it's because some part of the brain is not back online. Mm-hmm. What you're basically doing is realigning that. You're rebooting the brain.
What's the difference between niacinamide and inositol?
the two different B vitamins. One's B3 and one is, I forget what inositol's number is, but inositol works like a sugar as well in the brain. It acts as an energizer, and the B3 actually produces the NADH as well in the brain. So, I mean, nicotinic acid is one of the key chemicals in the brain for, again, rewiring the brain, rehooking the brain, keeping the brain from breaking down into Alzheimer's. I mean, the natives never got Alzheimer's that used tobacco products because of the nicotinic acid in tobacco.
And that's what the niacinamide does.
Yep, turns into nicotinic acid.
Huh. And that is just good brain.
Well, not only brain, it's anti-aging. I mean, it can actually extend your life. It's such a key B vitamin. I mean, you look at B1, B3, B5, B12. These are such key vitamins and so important in so many different functions of the body. But when we're talking brain, B3 for sure is the one you want to go to. Choline and inositol. These are other ones you want to go to. B12, folic acid. A lot of the autistic issues going on today and some of the Alzheimer's issues is because of lack of bacteria in the colon and unable to convert the folic acid or the B12 to the components required for the brain to function properly.
So this niacinamide is just one product called niacinamide, and it's just a B3.
There's three types of B3. There's inositol-hexanicinate, there's niacinamide, and there's niacin. And they are all similar in their functions. There's some differences between niacin and niacinamide. Niacin will actually work on the fatty liver issues, where niacinamide will not. So, but again, yeah, they're all key for brain functionality. I mean, you'd be surprised how a lot of the anxieties, the schizos, the brain imbalances that are going on there are a result of a B3 deficiency.
B3. And what dose on the niacinamide if somebody wanted to take just for prevention?
For prevention, at least one a day, 500 milligrams. If you take it before bed, it should help with sleep as well.
Mm-hmm. And it's different. It doesn't flush, right?
No, this will not flush you. This will not irritate you. Heck, you won't even know it's working. When you realize it's working, you'll find that things that normally would upset you don't. That's probably the simplest looking at it.
Okay. All right, stay right there. We're going to do a quick little break here, just a quick one.
SDL Incorporated and Andrew Goss are proud of building some of the best rare coin portfolios over the past 30 years. Every investor is directed to a numismatic broker to personally handle their account. Peace of mind about your investment is as important as profits. So call 1-800-468-2646 and receive information regarding the value of the dollar, how money is created and also devalued over time. More importantly, how to protect your money and purchasing power in the coming years. Don't make any rash decisions. Learn properly about this unique opportunity, how to do it correctly. Call us today, 1-800-468-2646.
All righty, let's see what's going on in the big bad world of our big good world of gold and silver. I have to get my screen open here. Okay, computer, do it. Pretty active morning. Gold is up $8 to $12.99. Silver's up 39 cents to $19.64. Oil is up 85 cents to 101, and the dollar's down a little bit. There you have it.
Broadcasting from the beautiful Hill Country in Texas, this is OneRadioNetwork.com.
Talk to Patrick now, 888-663-6386, or email patrick@oneradionetwork.com.
Okay, with Tony Pantalleresco, the second Monday of the month here. Got several emails. Come on, Patrick, get that list. I want to know what herbs made you weird. Oils. I keep telling you people, and I say, well, okay, so I got the list here. So first off, what they detected. Now this probably, I got a couple questions for you. This probably wouldn't be unusual. I guess if you would test a lot of people, you'd come up with these things maybe. Ascarius, which is a roundworm, and protozoa, Butschi. Okay, I had those two, and then yeast organisms, he said. All right, so then let's see what the oils are going to be here. If you have a question for Tony, 888-663-6386. Email patrick@oneradionetwork.com. Okay. How to use the formula. I know they have the list here. Yeah, this is the first formula that I've been taking. Wormwood, sage, thyme, tea tree, balsam fir, rosewood.
You're taking all that in essential oil?
Clove, black cumin.
Yeah, you're taking all that in essential oil?
5 drops of those.
Of each?
No. In other words, they send you a bottle that's mixed up with these.
Okay.
9.
Yeah, that's all heavy gun stuff. Balsam fir is another name for turpentine.
Is it really? That's turpentine in there?
There's turpentine in there. Then you've got the black cumin or black seed.
Mm-hmm.
That on its own tastes like something that comes out of your backside. It's so bad.
Really?
You've got wormwood.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the sage for the 2 zones in it. That is. Wormwood can cause anxiety or depression. I mean, there's an alcohol product called absinthe, which is made out of wormwood, and it can cause some severe depression on its own. So, I mean, that is what he gave you there. Excuse me, is
pretty
heavy gun. Is it mixed with a carrier oil?
Let's see. It doesn't say.
You might want to put 5 drops in a teaspoon of olive oil or almond oil or some other oil, or even castor oil, to alleviate some of the rest that the stomach may feel. I don't know if, like I said, if those are just essential oils that he's mixed together.
Yeah.
Like I said, that should kill almost anything in the body. What he
so
gives
check this out. Now this is you start this on the half moon, which I did on Wednesday, and then on the full moon you do another formula.
What's the other one?
The other one is sage, thyme, tea tree, balsam fir, rosewood, clove, and black currant. Oh, they do the same thing?
There's a slight change there. That's heavy. That's heavy gun stuff there.
And this is in black currant oil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which in itself is an antiparasitical.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty. Man, he really goes after it, doesn't he? No wonder I'm freaking out.
Yeah. The first one. I mean, usually.
He's laughing,
the
folks.
First 2 or 3
He's
weeks
laughing
because
I'm taking this
stuff. Get to the full moon part of that. But
I wouldn't
anyway.
even get to the full moon. Oh God.
But yeah, if the other one is not mixed with any kind of carrier oil,
I'm not sure it is. It doesn't sound like it is
okay, then you might want to use a carrier oil. In other words, put the 5 drops in. Even if you want to put in castor oil, which will allow it to penetrate deeper into the colon, right throughout the whole system. I mean, that will get right even into the liver. So if there's something in the liver, it'll pull that out too. It'll alleviate some of because again, that's high-powered stuff.
Oh.
That can get down to the colon. It could be killing a lot of healthy bacteria as a result as well. And that could be why you're feeling a little anxious, because it's like there's too much going on.
Yeah, I don't mind the organs. Go for it, but I don't like this brain stuff. Isn't that This is not good.
Sage is good for the brain.
I mean, but it's not to make my brain. Isn't that when anxiety is more brain, isn't it?
Well, brain or it could be an alarm going off inside of you because something's going on. You know, I mean, that's this way. If you were to take that and equate that to a nuclear explosion, what you're taking is a hydrogen bomb.
Oh, good.
Okay, so basically it's out there. As I said, you might want to dilute it a little bit so that when it gets in the system, it's not overwhelming your system so much. The oil will act as a carrier. Castor oil also kills parasites and worms. So, I mean, this will carry it through the system, will coat the inside, and will draw it out as well. So, I mean, this is another way. It could just be too much at one time for you. That's
maybe I'll just, if I get brave, I'll just try 1 drop, right, instead of 5 drops.
Well, that's another way of doing it, but you're still, just give it a go.
I don't know, yeah. You know, it's so funny, too, this niacinamide. The reason I brought it up is because I had a dream about niacinamide 2 nights ago where somebody told me in the dream to take niacinamide.
See?
And so maybe I should have taken it, then I wouldn't have had the anxiety.
No, you wouldn't have. No, it would have alleviated that tremendously.
But somebody who's had a stroke, niacinamide would be a good thing alone to try?
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's just B3. Just B3.
Well, combine it with inositol. like I said, some things have to be work in a synergy to be effective.
Oh, so the niacinamide alone, no?
I would never take it with the inositol. I mean, everything I've ever seen with it. I mean,
for a stroke person. Yeah.
Stroke person, there seems to be those two in combination with each other seem to be very effective.
Inositol.
She wants also to be using the wheat germ oil to regenerate any myelin sheath damage that may have occurred in the brain as well as through the connections of the body.
Mm-hmm.
Again, and then the iodine, again, to refortify her system. So, I mean, that's how I would approach it. But like I said, we've seen people who have had results with it. So, again, something that I would consider. She doesn't have to do it that way, but that's one way I would recommend, suggest.
All right. Yeah, that's good. And I'm going to get some of the niacinamide. I don't know if I've ever taken that. Just taken it just for fun, just to take it and see what I see. But if it came in a dream, something's going on there, right? Something's going on. Maria wants to know, what is the best source for MK2 in food and supplements? I have a high calcium level and low potassium and heard about MK2 could help.
MK2, she's talking about vitamin K. I don't know
if
I would give her that. She's got a high calcium level. She might want to be increasing more phosphorus rather than MK2. Phosphorus will regulate the calcium where it's supposed to go. Is she taking any calcium supplements as well?
Doesn't say. No, it doesn't say.
Well, MK2, I don't know. I mean, usually any green vegetable, vitamin K is in almost every green vegetable. I mean, there's an MK7 which they extract from something else. I forget what. I think from some soy product. But again, if she's got a high calcium in her system, then I wouldn't go that route. But that's me.
Mm-hmm.
You give her more phosphorus and magnesium to regulate the calcium in her body.
Mm-hmm. Roger writes in that almost every hot soup at the Whole Foods market, at the bars there in the salad bar, contain canola oil. I know. I've looked at the labels before, and I don't eat that stuff. I agree, Roger. I don't know why they put that in there.
And you know what's interesting? Canola oil is an omega-3. Cannot take any heat.
Ah.
So once you heat it up, it becomes a carcinogen.
Oh, good.
So it's a cancer causer. So, I mean, even a lot of the omega-3 products that you're buying in the health food store, one way to test your product, if you're buying a flaxseed oil, for instance, or a fish oil, is put your jar of your product into a freezer and let it sit there for 5 minutes. If it clouds up, you've got rancid oil in those capsules. Okay, because it's not supposed to cloud up. So that's another way of testing these things. I'm not a big fan of omega-3s anyway. I don't think they should be even used in the body.
Mm-hmm.
They oxidize so rapidly in the system. I'm a bigger fan of saturated fat overall.
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah.
And the other thing, like I said, if you want omega-3, if you really, really want a good omega-3, then go buy butter from grass-fed cows.
Mm-hmm.
It's got 13 times more omega-3 than anything else you're going to consume. You can eat it straight up. You can heat it lightly in a hot water, for instance. Fill a container with hot water from the tap. Put your omega-3 or your butter in another jar, which will disperse or diffuse the heat, so it's not getting full heat. Once you melt it down, then swallow it down and mix it with something.
Yeah.
But again, if I'm going to get an omega-3, I'm going to take it that way because in that form, the omega-3 in the butter has vitamin E in it to keep it from oxidizing.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it also has natural occurring vitamin D and CLA in it. So I would go that route over anything that I'm seeing sold on the market today, to be quite honest with you.
Tony, if we use our butter, the grass-fed butter, in a form of ghee, do you think it still has the omega-3s?
It'll have it. I mean, it all depends how hot you melt it.
Mm-hmm.
The simplest way of doing it is just run hot water from a tap into another container, right? And then put your butter, whatever you're going to use, into a jar, and seal the jar, put it inside there, and let it just gradually melt down because of the extra. You don't have to.
Or just eat the butter.
You just eat the butter straight up. You can do that too. And if you're having problems breaking it down, which you shouldn't, but if you are, then add a little bit more lipase with the butter so that you'll digest it better.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see. What about inositol
hexanisinamide? It's another form of B3. Again, what that does is, the reason why they added the inositol with that formula is to stop any flushing effect from the niacin that's in it.
Oh, this is hexaconite? It's conite or something like niconate?
Yeah, niconite.
Yeah, what does that do? What's it?
And it's basically a combination of inositol, usually 400 milligrams of inositol with about 100 milligrams of niacin. And when you take them together, it's supposed to stop the flushing. I've never really seen that work that way, but it's a good combination regardless.
Mm-hmm. Does Tony have any ideas on how to treat an abscessed tooth that either needs to a root canal or pulling? Is there any material besides gutta percha to put in a root canal tooth, Lux Toxic filler? What did you think of homeopathic imprinters? Do they work? So do you know the gutta percha? That's the stuff they put down there to pack in the root when they do a root canal?
I'm not familiar with it. Usually, there is a formula by using...
Biocalyx, I think.
What's it called? Give me a second here. Some kind of gum. Mastic gum with clove oil. You mix it together, and it forms a patch. And you can use that as a packing agent. And it disinfects the inside because of the clove in it, and it hardens just like a regular filler. Now, if you want to regenerate the teeth, one thing that we're finding here, what I'm finding anyway, as far as reversing cavities and stuff, is by taking baking soda and trisodium phosphate, mixing them together, and then doing just orally, just doing a mouthwash with them, flushing that through the teeth like you would do oil pulling.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to have a reversal effect and a rebuilding effect on the teeth. So that's something you might want to try, or you might want to try something simple as oil pulling to pull the stuff out, to draw out whatever's in there.
Try to save the tooth. What would be the combination of the trisodium phosphate and the baking soda?
What I've done is you get a 100-gram container, take 90 grams of the baking soda, 10 grams of the trisodium phosphate, mix it with about 24 ounces of distilled water in a container, shake it up, dissolve it, and then just use that, even if you dilute that with water, and just use it as an oil rinse. Do it 4 or 5 times. Make sure you flush it between the teeth, because it'll loosen up anything that's even in between the teeth, because there's a salt, and the salt does penetrate, like I stated. And you might be surprised as to how healthy your teeth may get as a result of doing this.
And the TSP won't screw up with the enamel on the teeth or anything?
Phosphorus and salt. That's what your teeth need. Your highest concentration of phosphorus is in your mouth.
Oh, trisodium, sure. Oh, I was thinking of sodium thiosulphate, sorry. Oh, trisodium phosphate, that's the stuff that we put in the bathtub that you've told us. Okay.
You can take that orally as well.
So TSP and the baking soda. I'm going to try that as a mouthwash. Okay. So about 9-to-1 baking soda to trisodium phosphate in 24 ounces of water.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Dissolve it, shake it up, put it in a cup.
And just have it in your bathroom there, and just use that as a mouthwash.
As a mouthwash, and do it repeatedly 4 or 5 times. You'll be surprised what'll start coming out of your mouth.
Really?
For a couple of days, you might find that the teeth and stuff will start getting hard again.
Huh.
Loose teeth will tighten up. Seems to be effective.
Boy, and the phosphorus is the whole thing for the teeth, right? I mean, that's the whole deal.
Yeah. A lot of these toothpastes have this calcium carbonate, which is crazy in my mind. It's very hard, very abrasive, and it actually breaks down the whole toothbrushing thing.
Yeah.
I talked to a dentist about that once, and he told me, toothbrushing is the worst thing you could do for the mouth, because what happens is you're just breaking down the teeth on a regular basis, opening yourself up to any kind of infection. And his suggestion was to take a toothpick and dig under the gum line, the teeth, and remove anything build up there, which made more sense to me, because that's where a lot of things get trapped and caught. It's a very painful thing to do, because again, you're not used to doing it, and you will draw blood and everything else out. But the other thing that is not as painful is the oil pulling. And if you add now, that formula you've got there, right, with the parasite, the worm, put a couple of drops in, let's say, a almond oil or sesame seed oil, and mix it together, and then do the oil pulling with that. Now what's happening is you're taking an antiparasitical or dewormer. If there's anything in your gum line that's there, it's also going to kill it and get rid of it as well.
Oh, you could actually mix it with a coconut oil or some other oil and use it as a pulling.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Probably without making me crazy, or what?
No, it won't. Because you're not consuming it. I mean, it may sting a little bit if you got something going on there. But again, you'll find that just by you can add just one essential oil to do the same thing. I mean, you can add, if you want to add a little turpentine, you want to add rosemary, sage, whatever. 1 or 2 drops in the oil, and then just again apply it that way. Or if you want to add tea tree oil to it, or if you want to add even a citrus essential oil, any of these things will work. Clove, cinnamon. you got something up there in the gum line that might be trapped. You may want to, this is another way of doing it, again, that you can use, and it's safe. It's not going to be abrasive. The oil will coat the teeth. Again, you may get a stinging sensation, maybe if something's going on there, if there's an infection going on in the mouth.
Yeah, Kent was writing in about existing dental decay, how to get rid of it. I guess you've just answered that question, I think.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, if you got dental decay, again, it boils down to this. The grains have to stop. This is the root cause of a lot of our problems going on today. The grains, the cereals, the breads. I don't care if it's quinoa. I don't care if it's amaranth. I don't care what they are telling you. That has to be eliminated. You need vitamin A. This is another thing. This is one vitamin nobody talks about, vitamin A. And that, I think, is more crucial than vitamin D right now because of what vitamin A does and how it protects the eyes, how it protects the skin, how it protects the lungs, how it protects the kidneys. You know, how it, again, fortifies the body in its immune system. You know, nobody's talking about that. Everyone's so focused on vitamin D, but vitamin A is just as important, if not more so, in my mind. So, again, when you're taking these grains, you're eating these cereals, you're eating the pastas, the rice, and all that stuff, you are doing nothing but causing the self-destructive behavior to go on inside of you because majority of those foods you're eating, even if they say they're orgasmically organic, they are nothing but genetically engineered foods that you're eating that will not work with your DNA or your genetic code or your digestive system. And as I stated, it attacks the reproductive system as well. And once that starts to go, your aging will accelerate. That's just how it works.
So your issue with the grains is not necessarily the grains per se, but it's because of the genetics.
There's not one grain we're not eating today that hasn't been genetically altered or engineered. Not one.
Because of drift or because they've done it intentionally?
Both.
Both.
Both. You can't get around it. When they planted genetically modified organisms in the ground, okay, that was a Pandora's box. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew this stuff would spread. According to one scientist, this stuff spreads 1.5 miles an hour. We've been growing this stuff since the 1970s, so you can imagine how inundated we are with this stuff. And even when you're buying the food, let's say you're buying a quote-unquote organic product, which, again, I find that humorous to even use that term today, but then they'll add a genetically engineered material with it when they're manufacturing the food. So you're not in any way, shape, or form safe. Look at the guy that just called in. Went to a place to get soup. Had canola oil in it. Well, canola oil, we all know, is a genetically engineered product.
Yeah, we know that. Has been since, 85?
Something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, why is that being sold in a health food store? Yeah. Okay, so again, what's that telling you? So that's telling you that the health food industry has been compromised, and it has been for quite some time, for at least 20 or 25 years. The drug industries have slowly crept in and have taken over a lot of the supplements that you're buying today and a lot of the products that you're buying. And when you're looking at foods, and I find this hilarious, you go into a grocery store, and you won't buy the cereal there because it's got high concentrations of sugar or whatever. So you're trying to avoid it. So you go into a health food store, and then you're buying a product because it doesn't state on there it's got glucose or fructose. But what it does state on there is it's got grape juice and apple juice. Well, that's glucose and fructose.
Well, yeah, it just sounds better, though, Tony.
Oh, sure it sounds better. So,
and,
again, when we're looking at this stuff, you're not doing yourselves any favor, and this is why I tell people, leave the grains. So everybody, we've gotten people on a dietary protocol here, and I give them a list of things that they can eat, not eat, and one of the things we eliminate is all the grains. And everybody that's gone on this protocol has seen in a very short period of time, 2 to 3 weeks, some exciting changes. One of the things they've seen is their waistline has gone down, body mass index has dropped, their weight has lightened up, and a lot of issues that they were having, respiratory issues or digestive issues, all of a sudden started clearing up.
Just with getting off the grains.
Just getting off the grains. Then when they go back to eat a grain, any kind of bread or whatever, they get sicker than a dog. And what happens is that we have become accustomed to eating these foods over an accumulated time period that we don't realize we're eating a poison because we can't taste the difference anymore. But once you get off of them, even for a short time, and you go back to them, your system will react very negatively to them. So again, it's just, and again, if you don't believe me, try it. Do it for 2 or 3 weeks. I tell people to do it because a lot of people won't last 10 days on this. But 2 to 3 weeks, and then lay off all the grains. And the moment you do that, you'll be driving down the road and you'll smell a donut shop with bread, or a bakery in a restaurant, or a grocery store, and you'll get hit with all these temptations. This is because that's the way it goes. But the moment you get off all the grains and then you decide to have just one slice of something, you will know it. You will know it.
So you think that even like from the rice from India and all that stuff all has been compromised as well?
They're fighting the genetics over there in India, like we are here.
Yeah,
I don't see where that's any safer. And again, you got to remember the reason why they're in those countries is because they don't have the regulations there like we have here. So they're bypassing the regulations in the United States by having what they call free trade.
Well, I wish there'd be a way you could really know, but there isn't really. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I wish there'd be a way that you could really know if a particular grain was really organic.
Well, like I said, if there's we have no labeling laws in North America, none.
But then even if you had a labeling law, what you're saying, if what you're saying is true, you're saying they're all been contaminated anyway.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is why there's been a big push now.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, they are. This is why there's been a big push, and I've done the show. Like I said, watch the last one we did, Something for the Skeptics. Once you see what Codex has done, you're going to really freak on that one. A lot of people are not aware of what's been mandated and regulated and legislated throughout the planet. And it's like India. I mean, Monsanto tried to patent a neem tree. And then the East Indians told them at that point to go pound salt. Because they've always, the neem tree, come on, they've had that ever since the country existed.
It's like sacred.
We're going to patent it now.
Oh, these guys, man.
But I'm just saying, and Monsanto's not the only bad guy in the game. That's the thing, too. Monsanto's the
Cargill and all the big guys, man, they're into it.
There's Cargill, there's Symbis, there's Syngenta, there's, Dow, DuPont, Nestle's, which is the water thief of the planet. They go and steal fresh water from all the lakes and reservoirs, and then they turn around and sell to you in a bottled...
Better living through chemistry, Tony. Better living through chemistry. Remember those commercials?
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, they used to tell us better living through chemistry.
But that's how they were getting...
That's how they got it started.
I guess how they got us used to thinking so that we would accept the genetics.
Right.
And all these other things. So, again, when we're talking... if you really want to make if you want to really stop this, and you'd have to quit buying the product...
You'd have to quit buying the product, right? And then...
That's one way. And the other thing, too, is this. Cornicoidex elementaris, they are supposed to strip down the all nutritional value of all the food supply. But that goes through the main ways of buying stuff. But if you want to get around it, you can go buy directly from the farmer or from a gardener, because there's no legislation on that. Now they're trying to stop that. They're trying to get rid of the independent farmers. And this is why I keep telling everybody, support your independent farmers. Support the small guy. Why do you want to support corporate anything? Because all corporations do is sell you garbage, cut corners. Okay, they put a little bit of something in there, but then they're putting other things in there to stop you from being able to utilize these foods, and you're just staying sick all the time. So why not support the little guy, keep him in business, keeps you healthy? I think it's a good symbiosis there, a synergy, an exchange. But people don't think in these terms because it's a matter of convenience. I find, and I understand the realities of life, but one lady contacted me once from California and decided that she was going to give her child a vaccine, even though she knew that vaccines were all dangerous, because her and her husband could not afford to have one person stay at home because of the high cost of living. And I'm thinking in my mind, you are now going to put a genetically engineered material into this child just so that you can maintain this way of life. If everybody quit buying these high, overpriced, overinflated homes, the prices of these things would come down as well. But everyone's got caught up on buying, I got a $600,000 million zillion home here, which I can barely afford.
Million zillion.
So, the priorities of these things of life have gotten all skewered. Okay, it's okay to put a genetically engineered biochemical into your child, whether it be an aborted baby or monkey gene or sheep blood or chicken parts, dog parts, cow parts, whatever, formaldehyde. That's okay as long as you maintain your status quo in life. If your kid winds up autistic or brain damaged or has cancer or compromised immune system, that's okay. This is what I get all the time. And I find that, mildly, amusing on some level. It just shows me that how bad people have been put on autopilot, how they're not really thinking, they're not really understanding, really. they're reading what they're reading, but they're not grasping inside what's really happening here. It's dangerous, blah blah blah, but we're going to do it anyway. Sort of like smoking a cigarette. Smoking cigarettes can cause cancer because of the pesticides. Yet, regardless of the warnings on the package, people still smoke. I have nothing against using tobacco. I think tobacco is a good product. It's one of the best. Again, another healing herb that you could use to knock out parasites and increase brain functionality, but not the stuff that's being sold today. Not in the tobacco industry.
Mm-hmm. Hey, what's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Patrick. It's Rob.
Hey, Rob, you're on the air with it. Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Tony.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, I was calling because I thought I would just support what you're saying. There's a farmer that is out near Kingston, and he was growing oats, and there's a doctor out there who was buying oats from him for her patients, and she could find that people could consume those oats. But if they buy oats at the bulk barns or those places where they've gone through some processing, she had some way of testing that effect, and they couldn't eat those. So if you had your own garden and you knew that next door there wasn't somebody spraying stuff, I think you could actually source maybe some grains yourself. But you have to get that direct.
Almost anything these days.
Yeah,
anything.
absolutely.
I keep pushing to support the local farmer, like a guy like you. You're out there trying your best to grow
terrific,
the
Tony.
cleanest crop going, with your meats and your sheep and stuff. So why I would support you before I go buy something commercial.
Yeah,
why not support you?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was thinking that if you wanted to become an American and become a president, Patrick could run your campaign.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, well, if I became president, then I would probably I'd have to be as corrupt as they are in order to survive.
I'll have a big Kevlar.
Even the Prime Minister of Canada, same thing. You can't make the changes at the top. You have to do it locally, and that's where the changes will ripple up to the top. You can't go to the top because the top has all been bought out by banks and corporations. I mean, everybody knows this. So if you're going to make a change, you got to do it on the local level. You got to do it, within your communities. And one community infects another community, and they make the changes. And then before you know it, you've got, half a province. And then before that, you've got a full province. And all of a sudden, you've got the other provinces getting on board. Same with the United States. And you get one state, on the local level doing it, and it gets caught up on the, state level. And then all of a sudden, these several states are getting on board. And before you know it, you got a movement happening. And that's the only way you're going to change the top. Because the top, every time you look at the news, look at the Canadian news with our politicians. It's a joke. Look at the American news with, the presidencies and his wife are having, a crazy moment as she's traveling across the planet spending $500,000 like this. It's nothing. It's ridiculous what we got at the top running the show. So the only way it's going to change is if people take the bull by the horn and make the changes locally.
There's been a couple states. The latest is, I forget the state, but they have a no strings attached GMO labeling law they just passed. And some of the other northeastern states said, well, if we got 2 or 3 other states next to us, we would do it. But this one, is it New Hampshire, Rob, was it, do you know?
Yeah, I was reading about it,
Yeah, they passed it, and this is a no strings, so they're going to do it. And the feds are not going to be happy, but they're going to tell the feds to pound sand and just leave us alone. So,
yeah, well, again, and they've had the particular fortitude to get that going. So let's hope that the other states drop their estrogen levels and increase their testosterone and do the same thing because it's imperative that this goes on. I think primarily too that these corporations are aware of the fact that they can't stop the labeling laws forever, and it's bound to happen. Like I said, you can go to other countries and you can see that the products are labeled GMO. Some people will still buy them, others won't. Like I said, I think seriously, my humble estimation, that if you really want healthy food and as clean as possible, you're not necessarily going to get it chemical-free, but chemicals I can wash off. Genetics I can't. Nano-silver particulates I can't. So if I'm going to a farmer like Robin, for instance, and he's got grass-fed cows, I'm going to buy it from him. Why would I want to go to the grocery store and spend high dollar for junk meat? You ever see the meat at the grocery stores all riddled with marble and fat, and then they're trying to tell us that's good for us? That's where all the hormones and the vaccines and everything gets tied into it. So when we're talking food supply. And again, and the other thing, too, that people need to realize is it can be done if you decide, let's say you can't afford to go buy half a cow on your own. Well, get a group of you. Get 2 or 3 of you, split the cost. This is another way of doing it. I do that with some friends of mine here. When we're buying meat or whatever, or we're buying stuff, we'll split the cost. Okay, a quarter cow is going to cost us $500. Okay, so I'll come in with $250. They come in with $250. Or we get 3 people going, and we divide it in 3.
Exactly.
And
Tony, can I get in for a sec? If you can support the farmers and the meat, the one of the big key things that people don't understand is from the agriculture perspective. It used to be like back in the 50s that the farmers would make their money on their meat, and that would allow them the ability to grow the other things on the farm. So it's also just from a production model. So
there you go. That's I mean, all the way
manure
around
to be organic.
Yeah, you're getting. Why would you? I would call it clean or cleaner. The thing is, this is what I'm saying. The symbiosis is there. I'm supporting the farmer who's growing the best crop he can grow, considering what's out there, and I'm healthier as a result of it. He stays financially stable and can maintain that. So even if they come after him, it doesn't matter. He doesn't even have to take his product to market. He can sell direct to you. And that's the best way to doing it. And I think we need to get back to that rudimentary concept. Let's support. Why should I support food coming in from Chile? Why should I support food coming in from South Africa or Mexico or anything? I've got nothing against these countries. But before I'm going to go support their agricultural industry, why not support what I've got here at home?
Yeah. Okay, Rob, thanks for calling.
Yeah, thanks.
See you soon. Okay.
All right, take care.
Tony Pantalleresco, we got to do a couple commercials. We'll be there. Daniel Vitalis, the colostrum we offer is from moo cows. Why is it good for people?
There's a sort of wonder of nature in that there's this relationship between cows and people where cows' colostrum is actually extremely bioactive in human beings. We've known that for 8,000 years. And there are over 4,000 medical studies confirming that when human beings consume cow colostrum, a similar thing happens in their body. It starts to format their immune system. It seems to be due to substances that are found in colostrum that are called immune factors, and also this really amazing substance called transfer factor, which somehow transfers the immunity over from the cow to human beings. But the important thing to remember is that we're living in an era where there's more people alive today with dysfunctional immune systems than ever before. And colostrum gives us the ability to actually restructure, rebuild, and reformat our immune systems so we can really thrive in our modern world today.
Thriving, yes, indeed. We like that. The colostrum is now in the 1 and 2 kilo bags as well, or you can get capsules or a smaller size. Just click and order right on the front page. Any Surthrival link on OneRadioNetwork.com. I got them order me up some. I had some whey protein this morning with colostrum, and I put a little bit of lecithin in there, and really like that combination with some coconut milk. I found a coconut milk without any of that carrageenan something. Don't tell Tony, but it's organic coconut milk. It's not really. It says organic, but I don't know if it is. Anyway, so that was my breakfast this morning with some almonds. But love that colostrum. It's got a great product. So since I'm up half the night anyway these days, I figured, well, I'm just going to have some sulfur. It's about 4 o'clock this morning. I just took a nice big glass of water with a couple teaspoons of sulfur. And tell you what, it really helps me sleep. It's amazing. I can remember when I first started taking it, I was musing that it actually kept me awake. And now it just brings oxygen everywhere. And I just kind of and it just settled in, and I can, it was 4 o'clock. I woke up again at 7, so actually I had 3 hours, so that's pretty good. I'm going to get this sleep thing. I think it's probably just I'm crazy. That's probably all it is. Just still crazy after all these years. If you'd like to try the sulfur, we have a great article that we put on the front page all about glyphosates and the GMOs and how it messes up the sulfation cycle by Claire Vidron. She mentions Stephanie Seneff, and we're going to get Dr. Seneff back on. But it's all about sulfur, and it's all about the role of sulfates. And if you don't have this sulfur thing going on, man, it's not good. Brain diseases with an insufficient supply of sulfate to the brain. Sulfate is oxidized from sulfur. Dr. Seneff has argued that systematic sulfate deficiency may be the most important factor in many health issues facing us today. That's from the article. And Dr. Zinup doesn't even take sulfur. She thinks you can get it off from your food. I disagree, but hey, I hope she just keeps writing about this. But I guess if you ate enough onions and garlic and sulfur-bearing food, you could. If it was clean, as Tony says, I don't know. Maybe you could. But I'm hedging my bets here. I just like it. I know my body will tell me if I'm taking too much, and so far, not. This sulfur is available at $79 for a 3-month supply. It's a pretty good deal, we think, and that's at a teaspoon twice a day. $79, 3-month supply. If you live up by Tony, $94.50 to Canada, that's delivered. And they have easy border crossings because it's part of a sulfur study. And then if you live anywhere else around the world, $99. And just donate the $99. Send me your address, and you donate the $99 on our site, and we'll get it out. We're going to get a bunch of orders out today, I think, yeah? So get them in, and we'll ship them out.
We are listener-supported. One Radio Network. Talk to Patrick now. 888-663-6386. Or email patrick@oneradionetwork.com.
And isn't that interesting, Tony, that they engineer these genetically things with the glyphosates to mess up the whole sulfation cycle, too, which is critical for the body to get rid of this stuff. Critical.
Well, she was making a comment. You can get it off from your food. Well, again...
Well, that's what she thinks.
If you're talking maintenance, that's possible. Again, like I showed you with the garlic extract, if you take it that way, or if you take garlic, for instance, and you extract it with a vinegar, it doesn't matter which vinegar, white vinegar, red vinegar, wine vinegar, apple cider, whatever you want to use, and you extract it that way and then let it sit for 6 months, you will actually boost the cysteine levels in that garlic. I forget how much percent, but it's off the chart. So it's a natural way of getting your L-cysteine levels. But again, when we're talking therapeutic usage for, again, cleaning that mess out, you're never going to get enough in the food. I mean, unless you extract it out and concentrate it down, there's no way.
Okay. I have a question for Tony. I've been reading some good things about taking the vitamin B12 supplementation in lozenge form for increased energy. I'm thinking of ordering some of the popular online retailer where B12 lozenge product has over 1,000 high ratings from users. What's your thoughts on B12 in lozenge form and taking this in supplement in general? Is it a good idea?
B12 has to be converted in the colon with bacteria. So how much you're going to get out of the lozenge, I really don't know. And then whether it's a sugar placebo effect, because a lot of them are mixed with some form of sugar, again, I don't know if that's what you're going to get. Now, it's been my experience that when you take any B vitamin and you mix them with yogurt and then you let them ferment for overnight and you use them, that's when you see a big, huge reaction, a positive reaction for energy, vitality, alertness, the whole 9 yards. There is a B12 that's on the market right now. I was reading up on it. It starts with an H. Escapes me right now, but it's supposed to be the most highest uptake of all the B12s because it's broken down to a certain levels where the B12 would break down to, so it gets to a certain component where the B12 is actually active. So they're using that instead. But again, I don't know.
Is it a transdermal, Tony, or a pill?
It's a pill form. It's oral. But again, it's
well, if you come across that, email me and I'll talk about it on open phones. People might want to try that.
Yeah, right. But again, I don't know how really effective it is. I don't really like promoting these things too much
I know, because you don't know, do you?
Do the research on it myself to see really how much. Because again, you know as well as I do. You know, I mean, everything in the health food store is going to save you and heal you and correct you. And our products is the best product on the market because it's going to fix you this way. And then people buy the stuff and it's a big dud. And I really hate. If something really works, I will tell you what I've seen work. Like vitamin C, for instance, and the ascorbate mix that I made. That seems to really make a big impact. Wheat germ oil, when it's combined with other things like CQ10 and BHT. It's an extremely powerful and effective healant. Now that I'll advocate because I see it working. I give it to people. I get feedback from them, and if the feedback is adequate, and this stuff works. Use it.
What do you do, Tony? Let's go over that a minute, because I bought some wheat germ oil at your recommendation, but haven't really messed with it much. It just sits there in the fridge. What do you mix with it?
Okay, take about 4 ounces of it,
Mm-hmm.
pour it in another container.
Mm-hmm.
Put some BHT in there, about 4 capsules.
BHT?
BHT.
Like boy, Harry, Tom.
Yeah.
And what is BHT? That's a kind of a preservative, isn't it?
It's one of the most powerful antioxidants you can use.
Mm-hmm.
Protect you from viral infections.
And how much BHT?
Put 4 capsules in.
4 caps, okay.
And put 2 capsules of CQ10, say 100 milligrams of each.
CQ10, CoQ10.
CoQ10.
Okay, how many? 2 caps?
2 caps. You can put more in there if you want, but I just start off that way. And then percuss it or shake it up really well so that it breaks down into the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And use a teaspoon of that and see what you get. That's probably another one that helps boost the immune system.
Huh.
It actually acts as an antioxidant with the fats that you're consuming, so that if there's any lipid-containing viruses, it should knock them out. I mean, if you look at BHT, I mean, it knocks out liver cancer, it knocks out tongue cancer, it inhibits hepatitis C viruses. Again, it can inactivates lipid-containing viruses, cytomegaloviruses, Epstein-Barr, herpes simplex 1 and 2, shingles, influenza viruses. This is one of the reasons why they took it off the food supply.
What did they take out, Tony?
BHT.
Oh, BHT. So where do you get it?
You can order it online. LifeLink carries it. I'm trying to find a chemical store or a chemical outlet where I can buy it in bulk. I can buy it from China, but I don't know what the heck I'm getting there.
LifeLink?
LifeLink has it, I believe, and there's another company that has it.
So you just can't you can't get it at a pharmacy or a natural food store? Maybe?
Yeah. Well, LifeLink, a health food store carries LifeLink products.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. There's
BHT.
another one there. It's in the blue and white label, and I can't think of the name of the company.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go online and type in BHT, you'll see LifeLink and another company that does sell it.
So why do we like wheat germ oil if wheat is such a bad guy?
Well, they're all bad, but the wheat germ oil still has components in it like octocosonol, vitamin E, and it seems to work, still seems to have the effect that we're looking for. The wheat, the grain itself, because of how it works and because of the genetics of the grain, you're having high levels of glutamate in the grain and gliadin, and you're having an imbalance of proline. So when it's consumed that way, it causes a lot of problems for the system. But wheat germ oil is what was the first, one of the first fats that they used to extract vitamin E out of. And nobody ever had a problem with it. I still use it today, and I'm fine. I mean, I had a sciatica issue hit me because I overdid it. I pulled a muscle in my leg, and I was using my vitamin C ascorbate material, and I started adding the wheat germ oil with it, and within 2 days it cleared it up.
Wow.
So because what does wheat germ oil do? It repairs the myelin sheet around the cells. I've got people who have muscular sclerosis who I give that to, and after about 2 months of that stuff, they're walking properly again, and they're having more coordination coming back.
It actually repairs the myelin sheaths.
Yep.
And this BHT then, so do I have an issue with having this wheat germ oil in there for maybe months? Does it get rancid?
Well, if you've kept it refrigerated, it should be fine.
No, it's refrigerated and nice and cold.
Yeah, it should be fine. It does go rancid quickly if you leave it out.
Of course, you got the BHT in there, and that's going to help that. And
that's going to keep it for sure. And then if you're adding CQ10, it's another antioxidant.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to add something else to it, something else that's a little unique, you can add some sunflower lecithin and some ascorbable palmitate, and now you got wheat germ on steroids.
Sunflower lecithin.
Yep.
I didn't even know they had that. That's a liquid?
It's a liquid. Now brand sells it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And add some of that, and that'll boost it up. It'd probably be good to mix that now and then keep it in the fridge with the BHT and all that in, right?
It wouldn't need to. I mean, once you mix that all together like that, you leave it on the counter because the sunflower lecithin may cause it to congeal more. But, yeah, put it together, and, you've got an amazing health product that you put together yourself. This is, again, we're talking brain power, augmentation because of the choline and inositol in the sunflower lecithin. You got the repairing of the myelin sheet of the wheat germ oil, which also is good for the brain. It's vitamin E content for Parkinson's. You've got the liver effect of the lecithin as well to help remove any excess estrogens or fatty liver deposits. You got the CQ10, which increases the ATP of the mitochondria. You got the BHT for its antioxidant properties, which doesn't allow the fat that you're consuming to oxidize very slowly. It slows it right down tremendously, so your body gets to use more of this fat rather than it turning into something very rancid. You got a hormonal, fat there as well. The octocosonol in the wheat germ oil will increase energy because everyone's always worried about energy, right? And combined with the CQ10. So it's a win-win all the way around. You can't go wrong with it. And when you try it, you may find all of a sudden you've got strength, energy, stamina. You might find that you're not being hit with certain viral infections like other people might be getting hit with. Again, it's an all overall body protector. And it's a very inexpensive way of doing stuff.
Yeah, and I know you've been a big fan of this since we've talked to you. Since the beginning of our shows.
Well, we used that 30 years ago, and we were seeing, bodybuilders were using...
Yeah, I remember the bodybuilding days, wheat germ,
Wheat germ oil, and then we were using something that was derived from wheat germ oil called octocosonol. You got on that stuff, man, you could lift a house with that stuff. It was unbelievable. They took it off the market.
They took it off the market. Well, yeah. It worked too good, Tom. They say, no.
It did. Anybody that was on that stuff, whether you were a cyclist, bodybuilder, man, you could go forever on that stuff.
That's so funny you mentioned that, because I can remember back in the hippie days, in the 70s, right?
Yep.
The natural food stores, wheat germ oil was a big deal.
Yep. It was
a big deal.
Because everybody at that time was worried about heart attack, right?
Yeah.
And so this is one thing you took because we didn't have CQ10 at that time. We had vitamin E, which was the big savior for heart issues. So and so wheat germ oil, everything was derived from heart. Even the Shute Institute in London, Ontario, was big on the research on vitamin E.
What is CoQ10 anyway? I've never messed with it much. I got some in the cabinet. I take a couple every now and then. But what is it?
Basically, it's an antioxidant found in potatoes and some beets and stuff that they found that actually works on increasing the ATP content of the heart, regulates the fats, boosts the cells, helps the immune system fighting off cancer. There's another product called idebenone, which is a type of CQ10 that they use as a nootropic to remove any free radicals in the brain without leaving a metabolite or leftover byproduct of the CQ10. It's a more effective form of CQ10. So this is another thing that they've used as well. And these are all fat-soluble vitamins. So again, if you wanted to mix vitamin A, vitamin D, CQ10, BHT, in a wheat germ oil, it's the best way to get it in your system.
Idebenone.
Idebenone. IDE. VEN. ONE. Idebenone.
Idebenone. IDEDEN, like two D's.
No, one D.
Oh.
IDE. Indian, Dave, elephant.
Yeah.
Boy, elephant.
Oh, I got you. It's a boy. Oh, Idebenone. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's just a CoQ10 on steroids.
Oh, it's a beauty. You should take a look at that one.
Yeah, Idebenone. I'll check it out. Probably have it on Amazon. You can get it. You can get anything on Amazon, right?
I don't deal with them too much. I try to deal directly with companies that sell these topics. You get a better deal sometimes.
Sure, because you go and you sell it. Let's see.
Well, no, I use it.
Oh, you use it. Okay. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Cab calling from New York.
What's the name? What's your first? Cat?
Cab.
Oh, Cab. Like Cab Calloway?
Uh-huh.
Okay. You're on the air with Tony in Ontario.
Well, I had a whole bunch of questions.
Well, go ahead.
But I think I'll drop them all and ask a question about his recipe he's been giving, if you don't mind. I guess you don't care what I say.
Whatever you want to do, Cab.
Well, okay, Terry Walls and Dr. Daniels are really big on natural foods, natural vitamins, natural supplements, and it seems like the recipe that Tony gave was all natural ingredients, except possibly the CoQ10, and I was wondering, Dr. Daniels says that you should never take synthetic anything that's bad.
Okay, you know what?
And Terry Walls says
entitled to her opinion.
Supplements at all, just to take only food.
Okay, well, again, she's entitled to her opinion. She may be ignorant of some facts. Synthetics do work, contrary to what other people are telling you. Okay, vitamin C has got a history since 1938. Okay, and anybody who used the ascorbic acids have found the benefit of ascorbic acid, even though it is a synthetic. Most vitamins today that you're buying today in the store are synthesized in the lab. The whole food vitamins are junk. They don't do anything for you. They have very little effect on your health. I don't care what a doctor tells you. I don't care what I tell you. You need to do your own research on this and do it accurately. Because, again, if you follow these so-called gurus on some of these ideas, they're just ideas. There's no merit or effect. The guy that beat H1N1 down in New Zealand did not use a whole food vitamin C. He used an ascorbic acid. So you got to take what's being said with a grain of salt, and you got to take what's being said with the reality of today's times. Now, I do agree on one thing. You do need to read your vitamins today, even whatever you're buying, because they are altering even the synthetics. And if they're coming from that perspective that the synthetics are being corrupted, that I would agree with. And you'd have to start looking at buying these things in bulk. I give people what works. That's my stand on anything. So if I'm going to give you an ascorbate or a CQ10, and it takes out your cancer or takes out whatever it's taking out, then it works. Use it. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to hurt you. There has been no history or any record that these vitamins have caused any problems or pain or death. So I don't have a problem with giving you a synthetic if it's going to save your life or if it's going to treat your system.
Well, there is actually somebody who is hollering loud and clear about vitamin C, ascorbic acid, being given in isolation. He says that it's mostly it's Dr. Eric Berg. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he says that vitamin C is a binder for 4 other vitamins, which would be J, P, K, and copper.
Okay.
And that if you take it in isolation, that it actually causes scurvy, that it will cause your gums to start bleeding. And,
I like to see the fact.
Interested in this is, can I say, the reason I'm so interested in this is because I was all excited when I heard about the man from New Zealand and reading about Linus Pauling, and I got one of those ultrasonic machines so you can make your own liposomic vitamin C and get more into your cells and everything. Mm-hmm. And I've been taking high-dose C for about a month, and then I started getting really bad palpitations, chest pains, and my gums were bleeding.
Okay, but were you taking any minerals with it? Because vitamin C will pull out minerals as well. If you do, like I said, you're not doing enough research on this whole thing. You're listening to a bunch of gurus, again, and you're not getting the full scope. I take 30 grams of vitamin C a day.
30 grams, but you also take a lot of minerals.
Minerals with it, that's right, because
nobody talks about that.
Right, and again, that's what you've got to do. I mean, you got to remember, any taken high dose will create an imbalance. I don't care what you take. So just because the doctor is telling you it's going to cause scurvy, again, you got to understand something about this industry. This industry is a prostitute, bottom line. And you got every doctor between here and Hoboken that's going to give you their take on vitamins, because you got to understand the FDA, the European Food and Safety Authority, the Codex Alimentarius is trying to get Americans and people who are taking high doses of vitamins to reduce them down or to neutralize them. And you got a lot of disinformation going on in regard to vitamin C. I've been following Klenner's recommendations, taking my body weight, dividing it in kilos, and then using that gram amount with minerals. I'm taking zinc with my vitamin C. I'm taking baking soda, potassium bicarbonate, magnesium citrate. Sometimes I add copper with it. And when I mix that all together, these become all ascorbates and become very, very... you absorb them.
Yeah. Tony, have you found a mineral supplement that would have them all in there that you like, that you recommend?
There's only one company right now, maybe two, but one that I really like, and that's Neutralizing. Got a electrolyte formula, which I find doesn't have the vanadium in it, which I like, and it's clean. And you can open up a capsule of that or 2 capsules of that, mix it with your vitamin C, and then add baking soda to it, and then you turn them all into an ascorbate, which means that you'll absorb them better.
What's the baking soda do? What's the baking soda do? Excuse me.
Basically, you're making it. Basically, you're turning them all into ascorbates. It activates the C, And so when it happens to C, it will actually break down those minerals so that they dissolve them for you, and you absorb them. When you take that form, you can feel the effect of this stuff very quickly, and you won't have these other issues that you're having if you're really having issues based on what you're doing. It could be something else as well. But I've never seen anybody have bleeding gums from taking excess amount of vitamin C, ever.
If they've taken the minerals, though, right?
Even if they're not taking the minerals. I've never heard of that even happening. So there's something else might be going on there, too. So, again, when you're looking at these doctors that are in this...
Hold on a second, Tony. Hold on a second. Cab, go ahead.
Oh, well, Dr. Berg says that it's a common thing for people that are taking the high-dose vitamin C, and he's seen it a lot. And, you know, he says that we'd be better off. He says that what's giving the effect of beating back the viruses and cancer and things is the acidity of it. He says we'd be better off to take vinegar.
Oh, he's crazy. He's crazy.
He seems he's been on Fox News. He's like famous.
Yeah, well, you know, if he's been on Fox News, if he's been on Fox News,
got a lot of high name.
I don't care about that. If he's a doctor, number one,
he's a chiropractor, actually.
Okay, doctors are not trained in nutraceuticals. They're not, and this
but
guy
he's a chiropractor.
I don't care what he is.
He is trained.
Sorry, he's an idiot. Okay, I'll even go that far. He's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's never really used these things. And again, to tie one thing like that to what he's saying, again, is really, in my humble opinion, he's misdiagnosing something. And again, like I just got done telling you, you are under an attack to stop you from using things that really work. One of the things vitamin C does is it reverses the damage of your... I can't think of the thing right now. The damage for your DNA. It can actually regenerate your DNA back. The telomerase enzyme that causes you to age, it actually can reverse that. So this is one of the reasons why they attack it.
Cab, let me.
There's no problem getting it. So you can order it. It's so cheap. You can buy it by the pound for like $8.
Sure.
Like you were saying before, it's the good stuff is what they take off the market.
Well, vitamin C is still there, and it's still available, and it still works. They've been trying to take that off the market for the last 30 years. That's been one of the most attacked vitamins ever.
I was taking tons of it, and honest to God, I almost thought I was going to die.
But were you taking minerals with it?
You're not taking any minerals with it, so why wouldn't you? Yeah, you're stripping out, one of the things you might be stripping out is calcium.
So that's what he's saying, Cab. But without minerals, vitamin C is not a good idea. Which I didn't. I mean,
no, Dr. Daniels, I wrote to her, and she said that it will cause you to bleed all over in your body.
No, I'd like to see that.
My gums were bleeding.
Okay, but you weren't taking. Okay, you're not paying attention either. You're taking a high dose of. You're imbalancing your body with a high dose of vitamin C and not taking anything with it to equalize it. I'm taking 30 grams a day. I'm not getting any bleeding. I'm actually on up to as high as 40 grams. Okay, I'm not getting any of those issues that you're talking about.
That I didn't know enough to take.
Right.
Didn't realize.
Well, you didn't know, Cab. So could you lead her before we let her go?
Well, I'm taking minerals now. I'm taking ionic minerals.
Okay.
You know, from the Utah. That comes from the Salt Lake out there, and
we'll mix that with your vitamins.
But I'm actually now more. I'm going out in my yard and picking weeds. Because it's springtime, those weeds don't have anything sprayed on them. You know, they're not hybrids. They're, you know, they have more nutrients, I'm told, than anything you could buy in the grocery store, and none of the toxins.
Make sure you wash them.
Big pots.
Make sure you wash.
You don't have to wash them. The stuff in the grocery store is the stuff that you got to wash.
You got to wash those as well because you got chemtrail fallout on them.
Okay, Kim. Thanks a lot. Can you lead Kim to some place before we let her go that she could do some more research on this whole...
She can go on, there's on my webpage, there's actually the formulation of what to do and how much to take.
Is there?
She can go there on the scripts. She can go and she can do some real research on it and take a look at what they're recommending and what to take with it if you're taking high doses. Again, if you're taking anything high dose, you are going to create an imbalance. So if these people are telling you you're going to get bleeding and stuff, really... I'm taking, up to 40 grams a day, and I've never seen any of these issues that they're talking about. So, I mean, again, but I am mixing my stuff with different minerals. I'm taking...
a girlfriend told me that she and her mother did high-dose vitamin C, and when they were all done, that they were very aged. Their bodies looked much older after taking the,
Well, my body looks younger. So what are we saying here?
Cab, we gotta let you go, dear. But here, Sharon put up a video on vitamin C from our guest tomorrow, Dr. Saul, Saul, and
I know he believes in high dose.
Okay, well,
and I sent a question in for him on that.
Well, we'll talk to him tomorrow about this.
Maybe you could get Dr. Eric Berg on the program and hear what he has to say, because he doesn't seem like an ignorant person at all to me.
Well, a lot of people say a lot of things, dear. Thanks.
Yeah, that's true.
See you, Cab. See you soon. Well, God love him. If he's on Fox, so I would be. I don't want to be weird here, but.
Well, anybody that's on mainstream, as far as I'm concerned, is usually people that are disinformants. And
well, that's true.
I have given people high doses of vitamin C. I use it myself. I've never, ever seen anything that she's saying. Again, something else must be going on there. And again, if there's a deficiency already in the system and she's overloading the body, it will further exacerbate that. But I'm telling you, I've used it with baking soda. I've used it with minerals, mixing it with the minerals. I have found, and I've mixed it with several minerals: magnesium, boron, copper, potassium, zinc, and I've actually gotten stronger since I've been using this stuff that way.
Well, Sharon said she's actually working on getting Dr. Eric Berg on the show, so that should be exciting.
Yeah. So again, when they're talking what they're talking, again, I even like to see their research on this, because everything I'm seeing from Klenner, Cathcart, Pauling, Ross, I mean, they're using high doses of vitamin C in Africa to help offset the viral infections that are going on. And none of them are seeing what this lady is saying. Mm-hmm. So, and again, the guy that used the high doses in New Zealand, well, they're even using 50 gram doses intravenously with people who have health issues, and they're not seeing any of this stuff. So, I have to question this whole affront or an attack on this, because again, that seems to be the big thing these days, to scale everybody down to a low dose, no use supplements that don't do anything for you. And again, I've not seen any literature indicating that whole food anything, vitamin-wise, are treating or curing anything. Not that I've seen anyway.
Well, I've never experienced any kind of bleeding with the vitamin C, but I don't take as much as you do.
Well, I'm at the high end because I'm trying to come up with different ways of dealing with the Morgellons and other things that are going on. And it seems to make a huge difference. The one thing I was going to say is that, before we get to the end here, is that anybody who's got Morgellons needs to up their vitamin C levels exponentially, because what's going on with people with Morgellons, they are having a case of scurvy. I wanted to mention at the beginning of the show, because what's happening is the Morgellons is stripping the body off of all kinds of things and creating an immune response, which is depleting the vitamin C levels. So when you start taking vitamin C, again, the formulation for that is take your body weight, divided by 2.2, which gets down to the kilo measurements, then multiply that by either 350 to 400 milligrams of vitamin C, and that's your daily gram dose that you should be using. So let's say you're a 170-pound person or 150-pound person. That's 70 kilos times 350, which gives you approximately 23.5 grams a day. And again, if you mix it with things like zinc and copper, again, these also have an effect on killing off biofilm that the Morgellons does leave behind. Taking it with magnesium and potassium and baking soda increases the cellular uptake of the vitamin C, so it can flush out any pathogenic material stuck in the cells. And you will find, after about 10 days doing this, you may find you may be rebounding from the Morgellons affliction. This is something you might want to try.
Okay. Let's see. Jeannie writes in that I've been using sake wine, only 10% alcohol, and that works for the freezing the rosemary. So.
Well, yeah, okay, but that's...
We're still trying to get this stuff frozen,
The thing is, he's using a 10%, so it has 90% water. So, yeah, it will freeze.
It will freeze. Well, that's what you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure why yours is not freezing. You've got a special.
I got a special problem.
Yeah. And try this, but anyway.
See, Ty writes in, it doesn't matter what I do, but I take at least 15 grams of Nutribiotic vitamin C powder every day for years. 46. Also take a dropper of Ocean Solutions concentrate ocean water from my minerals. I've never had any problems, and I feel great.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that uses vitamin C with minerals, I mean, you feel like a new person.
See, I've never, I should probably, so there's so many different places, but you like these Neutralizing electrolytes, huh? You like these?
I like that one because, again, it's one of the few. There's only like 2 companies. Utah Salt is not bad, but I don't like the fact they add vanadium to their product. But, I mean, a lot of them have got so much crap in them. It's like, this one's really simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's got all your electrolytes in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's already packaged. It doesn't really have anything in it that I could see that I wouldn't use. Mm-hmm. I mean, and again, if somebody doesn't want to go buy the baking soda or the potassium bicarbonate or potassium citrate or any of the minerals individually, I prefer to have my own hands on so I can regulate my own dosing. Because basically I'm taking 10 grams at a time and using approximately maybe 1 gram of magnesium, potassium, and using about maybe 50 milligrams of zinc, 10 milligrams of...
Wow, you're really partying up. I wonder, do you think you could do this Nutribiotics electrolyte formula that you like? Just go ahead and add this to any kind of mineral supplementation you're doing. Can you do too much?
Not if you're taking it with the vitamin C. Now that's pretty low dose, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
So you can take a couple.
I think if you take it with even if you take it with 5 grams of vitamin C, 2 capsules at it, it'll be more than adequate to. Again, adding the baking soda with it, it'd be more than adequate to again break that down for you. Any mineral that's bound with an acid or a protein, you're going to absorb. And so what the vitamin C done is basically dissolving that with the baking soda, and it's again when you take it, you can feel the difference in it.
Mm-hmm. So, at the risk of being very personal, how do you take that much vitamin C without spending half your life in the toilet?
Well, initially, okay, that's part of the charm.
Yeah, charming, yeah.
It is part of the charm. You have to understand. Okay, when animals get sick, they take 10 grams. Their bodies produce 10 grams naturally, and they go up to 100 grams.
Oh.
So when we're taking a high dose, what's going on is the cells are being flushed out of all poisons and metals and whatnot, and you're putting back into those cells the sodium, the potassium, and you're getting that balance back to where it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that flushing out, I kind of look forward to it because what I see coming out is a lot of residue that's been, again, stuck in my cells or my tissues for a long time. Now, after a while, you still flush out, but not to the level that you do initially. So that's telling you it's working, and it's telling you that when you look into the toilet bowl there and you look down, you see some stuff there that you wonder what some alien got in there somehow.
It's an alien.
And then, like I said, you can feel the difference. You can really see the difference in your energy, your stamina, visual clarity, your skin. Okay, I'll tell you an example. I was hammering a nail, and I missed the nail. I hit my thumb with the hammer, and so some choice words came out of me. But I didn't bruise that bad, and I should have lost that nail. But because I've been taking so much vitamin C, it offset the damage that I'd done to myself, and immediately started taking the copper and the iron, putting it back in the blood cell. And that correlates to a study they did back in the 1980s when they were testing vitamin C on cats. Again, this is going to sound a little cruel, but this is what they did. They dropped an anvil, 50-pound anvil, on one cat with no vitamin C, and it killed the cat instantly. The shock and the blood, the copper and the iron that was released caused a severe shock, and the cat died. The second cat they did that to, they loaded the vitamin C up. The cat not only survived, was trying to pull itself from underneath the anvil. So it has some super high protective properties going on there. So, again, and I saw that firsthand with my experience, banging my thumb with a hammer. Again, like I said, it didn't feel too good, and I had some choice Mediterranean words that came out of my mouth.
I understand.
But again, hardly any damage.
Okay, here's an email. Is there a way to tell iron deficiency without taking a blood test? I ate some liver and I felt better, so I suspect it's an iron issue.
It could be that, maybe the B12 and the iron B12 in the liver might have boosted them up as well. I mean, one simple way of checking for low iron is look in the mirror, pull the bottom of your eyebrow down, and look and see how red it is. And if it's red or good, healthy red color, then you're good. If it's a light pink, if women are doing this, don't do this on your men's time because, again, you're going to get you're going to see a lighter shade of red there, and again, you're bleeding, so you're obviously going to be low on iron. But that's a simple way of checking for iron deficiency.
So he wants to be nice and red, not pink.
If it's pink, it's okay. You're in the borderline. But if it's a good deep red, then you know you've got more than enough iron in your system.
Oh, that's cool. And that's cheap. Does Tony have any suggestions for trying not to get up at night to urinate?
Sometimes you have to get up to urinate because your body's telling you got to release the poison.
Sometimes it's just got to go.
I mean...
Is it a bladder, kidney thing, a prostate? Could be
a lot of things.
Could be a lot of different things.
If they've got a bladder infection, if they've got a urinary infection, if they've got a prostate issue. But I mean, sometimes it's just...
Sometimes you just got to go, man.
Got to go. Your body's saying you're loaded up with stuff that's got to come out. And so where you go. So I don't always necessarily want to stop that,
Yeah. Do you make sure you drink a generous amount of water, like half your body weight?
No, I don't follow that at all.
You don't worry about that?
I don't follow that at all. I mean, seriously, I think depending on where you live is the way to determine that. If I was back in Arizona, I may be drinking more water because I would dehydrate more. But where I live around the Great Lakes and around the Detroit River here, our air content here is loaded with moisture, so I don't get thirsty or feel the need for thirst, and my body doesn't dehydrate. I mean, I do drink adequate amount of fluids a day. I mean, like I said, if I'm taking my ascorbic acid mixture, I'm probably drinking, probably 10 ounces of fluid when I mix this stuff up 3 or 4 times a day. Plus, I'll have my 17 ounces of herbal teas probably twice a day. So I'm probably getting more than enough fluid just from that alone.
Yeah.
Even before I go to bed at night, I'm doing that ascorbic acid thing with the fluid. And I'll wake up because I'm running a humidifier and a heater in the room I sleep in to create an effect to, again, purge my body while I'm sleeping because I'll either add iodine or peroxide or some essential oil in the humidifier. Sometimes I'll get up because I've dehydrated, and then I'll go, relieve myself and reload with fluid and go back to bed kind of thing.
Reload.
Yeah, in other words, with more vitamin C and fluid. Like I said, I'm doing this all throughout the day and night, and I've never had any of the issues that they're saying.
No.
If anything, one of the things that the vitamin C does do is it increases the permeability of the arteries. So if there is a bleeding factor there, then there might be something else going on.
Could be. Okay, Patrick Timpone, Tony Pantalleresco, I just intuitively been putting minerals in my vitamin C that I do about 5 grams a day, but and I use that magic mineral formula from Stephen Huer. If you'd like to look at that, you can go to his website. We've taken down all the links to Stephen Huer because of the whole screw-up thing with the whey protein and their labeling, and that's going to be back in a couple of weeks, and all the protein label and the protein complement position with the carbs, the ratios are going to be right, and we really apologize for that. Stephen didn't know what was going on. Anyway, but he's got a product that I really like. It's white. It's magic mineral. I think it comes from Utah out there, but you can mix that in your vitamin C and just tell him you found it at One Radio Network, because since we don't have a link, we might get a little commission. It doesn't matter. But anyway, you can mention One Radio Network when you order. Please ask Tony what's good for cellulite.
There was a product out years ago that actually worked. It was called Celicine.
It actually worked.
It actually worked. No, for that it did. I mean, because there's so much crap being sold on it. But this one actually seemed to have worked on it.
Not sure what it's called.
It was called Celicine. Now, whether it's still on the market or not, I don't know.
What was the name?
Celicine. CELL-A-CENE. And it was you took it orally, and it seemed to have helped a lot of women who had that issue. And the other thing, to believe it or not, that works in that is Preparation H.
I beg your pardon.
You rub it on.
You rub it on.
Rub it on.
I'll be darned. I wonder what that does.
There's shark liver oil in it. Now, you got to make sure if you buy that, make sure it's just the plain shark liver oil without 99 chemicals, because they have changed the formulation on that over the years. But the original form was just basically a shark liver oil, which they applied directly on the area, and it seemed to have helped. Well, it helped with the hemorrhoids, but bodybuilders used to use it, and people who had that would use it, and it seemed to help.
I'll be done. So Preparation H is shark liver oil?
That's what it used to be. Now, again, I haven't looked into that product for years, so I don't know what's in them now, but that's what the main ingredient was at one time.
I'll be done. Doc Sutter wants to know what you think about sprouted grain bread as opposed to being so dangerous as grains?
Wouldn't use it.
Wouldn't use it?
Nope, wouldn't use it. I mean, it doesn't matter.
It's all grains. Huh?
Actually, you know what? They should all go to my website. Look at the script of the show for December 2012.
Okay, December 12th.
Then when they click on, look at the December 7th link. Oh, mycotoxins, okay? And then you should read this.
Okay, so December 12th, and then December 7th, this is on the Augments and Force.50 webs, right?
Yeah, December 2012 is the link.
Okay.
When they click on that link, look at the December 7th link inside there.
Mycotoxins.
Take a look at that. Read that.
Okay.
Really understand the nature of what's going on. And then go look at that latest video we did on Something for the Skeptics. And again, when you start looking at the stuff, like Robin called in a little while ago, if you're going to buy your stuff, you're going to buy any grain product that you are going to get. I don't think you should be eating grains anyway. I don't think you should be eating any grains, regardless of where it's grown, because of the nature of our bodies have been inundated with genetics. But if you have to eat this stuff, seriously, buy it from a local farmer that isn't spraying or isn't using anything genetic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because so many people have genetic material in their bodies, and because the stuff responds to the genetic material that's in your body, I wouldn't feed that to a lot of people at all, especially people who've got Morgellons issues. That's something you need to stay away from for sure. If you're having digestive issues, if you're having reproductive issues, then I would not feed you any grain or soy or canola for sure. That would be not even in your vocabulary. But again, that's just from what I've seen and how I see things work.
Gotcha. Hi, what's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Patrick, this is John, New York.
Hey, John, speak up. Speak up.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah, we can do it. Okay, go ahead. We're kind of short on time. Go for it.
All right. Tony, hey, how are you?
Good. How can I help you?
Wanted to ask you, have you read any work by Dr. Robert Thiel?
Thiel?
T-H-I-E-L.
What are you referring to?
Well, he's the most, I would say, documented research scientist since World War II who did most of the studies on food-based vitamins and minerals compared to synthetic ones.
Okay.
And?
So I just wanted to find out if Tony has read any of his research.
No, he has not.
I haven't read any of the research, but again, I'm not sure what the point is to this question.
I mean, if you're familiar with it, I just want to know.
John, does he say
if you're not, then maybe you might want to read some stuff.
Oh, so you're saying that he says the food-based are better than the synthetic? John?
Yeah, the research shows.
Okay, I'm from this perspective. I'm where the rubber meets the road. I don't care about research. I'll give you an example about research and bad research. We were looking at PubMed, because PubMed has a lot of thousands and 50,000 articles on research. And we were looking at one research I was looking at with a chemist buddy of mine on wormwood. And they were saying how wormwood could knock out breast cancer. So we were looking at the research, and that sounded really interesting. And then we looked at the formulations and what they used and how much they had to use for it to work. Now, according to their research, you need 500,000 pounds of wormwood in a 500 ml or 17-ounce bottle of extract. That's virtually impossible. Can't be done.
How many pounds?
500,000 pounds.
Now, why would they publish something like that?
But, okay, just because, this is my point, just because it's published and it's been researched doesn't mean it's accurate. You have to understand, back in time there, when you look at soy and all this research on soy, it was done by the Solea Corporation back in the 80s and the 90s, okay? And the Solea Corporation had a lock on the soy products. It wasn't until the Ministry of Health in Israel came out and exposed soy. One of the things that they said about soy was that it shouldn't be fed to anybody under the age of 18, and because of the high levels of hormonal imbalancing and the goitrogenic effect, I mean, they just blasted it right out the door. They said there was under no circumstances should anybody be eating this, and the only people that should be eating this is that should eat soy is basically those who cannot eat anything else. In other words, if there's nothing else to eat and that was it, that's what you should eat. Unfortunately, the kosher foods all have soy. So a lot lot of the Jewish people that are eating kosher foods are eating soy-based products, which even their own government is saying not to eat. So again, when we're looking at some of these studies, again, with all these on who put them out, why they put them out,
who paid for it, what their goal was. And this is all research, right? I mean, I don't care what it is.
Exactly. So you have to look at that. Because me and my chemist buddy, he says the same thing. He says sometimes it's the pharmaceutical pimps that put out these studies to dismantle something that works. And one of the things that I found, like I said, with vitamin C and some other synthetic vitamins like B1 and B3, they have worked on schizophrenia. They have worked on all kinds of things. So I don't have a problem using them. And again, when you're talking dosage, you're basing things on orthomolecular type studies, which require mega dosing on some of these things until your body gets bounced back, and then you reduce the dose down to a nominal level. That's what seems to work, and I've seen that firsthand. Even iodine. We had a gal here that gave her husband 60 drops of iodine in 20-drop dosages 3 times a day, because she got that from a study back down in the 1960s, because, like I said, most of these studies were anything prior to 1980 or pre-1980 to be a lot more accurate. Anyway, she got him on this after 3 weeks, and she got him right back down to about 4 drops. But it did the trick. It took away this guy's depression. It rebalanced and recalibrated his brain and his system. So, again, when you're looking at studies, I look at a lot of studies. I read studies all the time. It doesn't mean I believe everything I read.
Okay, John, we got to go because we're out of time. Thanks. But, Tony, it's so interesting. I think that you do get to the point, I certainly have after doing this particular show for over 6 years, is that, it's fun to listen to people like you even, but the only thing that I know for sure is what I see in the mirror and what I feel,
Exactly.
And do I poop? And do I poop? Do you poop? And do you eliminate? Do you digest your food?
Exactly. What are you eating that may be causing
are your eyes clear? Are your breath clean and clear? Your skin, how does it look? Then you know that you're okay. And then if you take something you feel weird, well, it could be a detox, and then you could play with that, like the essential oils. But other than that, we keep talking and encouraging our listeners the proof is in the pudding. As you say, the rubber meets the road. Well, you got to try this stuff and see what works, man. Otherwise, you're not going to know.
Yeah, research, you got to remember, I can write a book on research to make money. Doesn't mean what I'm writing you is right. You got to remember, a lot of doctors, this is another thing too, and this has been validated, a lot of doctors sign a lot of research documents. They get paid $25,000 to $50,000 to put their name on a research document, but have never done any research on what they're signing.
Mm-hmm.
This has gone on as well. And again, I have been dealing with people for 35 years, and I'm constantly researching to trying to find a more effective or more efficient way of doing things. And what I've seen so far, I'm probably one of the most controversial people you're going to meet, because I don't always go with the status quo. And I don't agree with a lot of these doctors out here today in the health food industries, because a lot of them are nothing but, wolves in sheep clothing. So, and I've seen that time and time again. I met one directly when I was down in Arizona. This guy was a joke. And he was trying to sell his product with his name on it because they were 3 times more expensive than something that else was in the store that was 60% cheaper. I had a woman there that needed a calcium supplement, and so I gave her something that was like $7, which was in her budget because she was on a fixed income. He came along and tried to sell his product, which had something in it that would reacted with the drugs that she was on, because I knew she was on drugs, because most of the people down there were like in their 70s or 80s, so they're on some sort of pharmaceutical, so you got to be careful what you give them.
They're on something, yeah.
So anyway, this guy was trying to push his product because it was his name was on, because he needed to make the money, right? He needed that prestige, he needed whatever. So I gave people what worked, and I still to this day am of that philosophy. I don't really want to see you. Once I see you and I help you out, I really don't want to see you back again with the same issue. And if you re-expose yourself on purpose, and you come back and see me again, I'll read you the riot act after that one. But so a lot of times I'm not there to just push a pill. I'm trying to push a way of life and a way of discipline and a way of looking at things. When I talk about genetically modified foods and how they're creating the havoc they're creating, and then what you're going to really need to get this stuff out of your system. Like when that guy gave you that essential oil mixture, that guy gave you a hydrogen bomb. That's what's required today because of the nature of what we're being afflicted with.
Well, he's a bug guy. I guess he knows. A couple more emails, then we're going to go. Okay. On a previous podcast, I missed the name. Would you please give the name again for the aromatherapy book that you recommend?
Okay, The Practice of Aromatherapy by Jean Valnet. I think pound for pound, it's one of the best books any person can get. It's easy to read. It's easy to understand. They even give you even how they formulated some of the stuff, how you can put it together in wine or in oil or sugar cube or honey. Everybody's got a theory. I like dealing with the facts, and this guy was probably the most prominent people that used aromatherapy. Like I say, used it in the field, right in the field where the wars were being fought and shot, and people were getting shot. So, that's probably, I would encourage people to get that book, explore it, expand from that book, okay? Just use common sense. When you're dealing with essential oils, if you are going to take them orally, understand which ones you can take, which ones you shouldn't go near orally. And if you are going to take anything orally, make sure you use some kind of carrying agent with them. Don't just take them straight up.
And also, somebody wants to know, where do you get sodium thiosulphate? No. What's the one they want? I'll go back to my inbox. Trisodium phosphate.
Where do they live?
They don't say.
Okay, if you're in the United States, you can order it online. Let me think of the company right off the
Probably
bat.
thechemicalstore.com, right?
There's chemicalstore.com, Unit Chemical Core. You can get it there. Unit Chemical Core is pretty cheap. You can buy, I think, a 5-pound tub of it for $5. You get it. They think they even got an 8-pound tub of this stuff. It's clean. It's pure. You can get it from them. You can get it from chemicalstore.com. Find out. Wherever you live, see if you got a chemical outlets where you can buy chemicals straight out, and you can probably pick these up there. And they're not. It's not expensive.
Yeah, and I've worked with the chemicalstore.com, and they're very efficient, very professional. They do what they say. They get it out quickly. It's good price. That's where I get the sodium thiosulphate and the trisodium phosphate from me.
Yeah. Chemical company down in Texas I ordered through. I can't think of the name of them right off the bat. Well, next show maybe I'll have the name for you, and you can order from there too, and they're pretty good as well.
Oh. Yeah, these are chemicals, aren't they? In a way, they are. They're.
Well, everything's biochemistry. If you're eating colostrum, that's biochemistry. If you're eating,
something, yeah.
It's all biochemistry. It's all chemical reactions that we're putting in our body to create whatever. So when we're talking what we're talking today, you have to understand the pathogens that we're dealing with today are not the ones we dealt with 50 years ago. They've been augmented, they've been genetically engineered, and they have been made more lethal. So you're going to have to, if that's the measure, you're going to have to come up with an adequate countermeasure to offset this. So again, when we're talking what we're talking today in regard to even the foods we're eating, we don't have. There was a guy on TV saying he's got a lab now. He's inspecting food. And he's checking everything from China. Well, that's not helping me. See, I really don't care what China is selling. I can avoid buying something made in China. I don't have to buy it if it's made in China. But I want to know what I'm eating here in Canada. I want to know what I'm eating here in the United States. Okay, this is where I live. This is who I deal with. Okay, so if I'm buying something from the United States or Canada, I want to know what's in there that it can be a detriment to my system. Is there a genetically engineered material in that food supply? Why isn't that being labeled? Why isn't that on the label?
Yeah, gotcha.
If there's a chemical in there that should be labeled, why isn't that labeled? Because there's a lot of things that are not being put on our labels either in both countries. So, when we're talking food value, that's what we should start. That's how we should start thinking. Food value, not if it's organic. We really don't care about the terminology. Like I said, if you really look at that and what it really means and what's being sold, it's a complete contradiction. Like I said, if somebody wants to do some research on the USDA, go back to 1906, and you might be a little bit in for one heck of a rude awakening on that. So, again, not everything is what it appears to be, and any country that is, again, we go back to being Codex compliant, is under the Codex mandate to alter the food supply. So, this is why I keep, and again, I'm going to hit this really hard. Start buying from a local farmer. I don't care if they're Mennonites, I don't care if they're Hutterites, I don't care if they're Amish, I don't care if they're the guy down the street that's got a farm. support these guys. This is what we need to get back to again. If we're talking about food value, okay, like I said, they spray a light pesticide or light chemical, I can wash that off. That's not a problem, okay? Chemtrails, if like the lady was pulling stuff from her garden, if you're pulling stuff from your garden, you still are going to have to wash this stuff because you are getting a chemtrail fallout. You're still getting barium and aluminum on this stuff that you need to wash off the plant. And you can tell if you've got it because the plant will have a dark, blotchy spots with white powdery elements, and that's not from your from the ground. If there was a video somebody sent me the other day, yesterday actually, called Shade. And if you want to look at that YouTube, go to type in Shade in the YouTube. This will give you, a lot of you, again, a eye-opening awareness that you need to be aware of, again, the world we live in today.
Shade?
We're not living 1970, 1960, 1950. We're living in the year 2014, and the paradigm has completely changed. And so we need to really get up to speed on that. Whether you're using a supplement, vitamin, food source, whatever, it has to adequately meet the challenges of today's pathogens, or you're wasting your money.
Okay, final one. This is a good one. About 4 years ago, I had a cracked tooth, which resulted in a root canal. Around the same time, I developed 2 small lumps in my armpit. See picture attached. She sent the picture. I had an ultrasound, and doctor said it was fluid-filled, nothing to worry about. Had tried some iodine topically, but maybe not long enough. Tried steaming with warm washcloth. Any ideas what I could do to get rid of this? I eat very healthy, exercise, juice, avoid sugar, and eat no processed. From Elke, and she also has a picture of her lumps in her armpit.
Okay, take some turpentine.
Turpentine?
Mix it with some peanut oil. 1 ounce of turpentine, 5 ounces of peanut oil. Shake it up really good. Massage it in.
Peanut oil.
Enzymes internally, like serrapeptase or pancreatin enzyme, and see what happens.
Serrapeptase or pancreatin. Now, this is pure pine gum spirits, not just old turpentine from the Home Depot, right?
No, they can use the Home Depot stuff, too. There's no, as long as it says pure turpentine, pure gum spirits, rectified, they're all good. I get mine from the hardware store. I have no problem
as long
with
as it says pure pine gum spirits.
Yeah. So as long as it's got that on, there's nothing else in it, no Varsol, no other solvents, it'll work.
Well, all the ones I saw at the Home Depot years when we first started playing with this, I couldn't find any clean ones, so I got some from the other place.
Okay, Clean Flow is supposed to be pretty good. That one's, I've had people check it out as well. I've looked into it, and it seems to be just what it is, just pure turpentine.
So what
again,
goes...
that's all I use. I use the stuff from the hardware store, and it seems to work well. I mean, I live in another country, so...
Yeah, it doesn't matter, I guess, where it's from. The important thing is that it says it's pure gum spirits, and there's nothing else in there.
I mean, the guy from Georgia, support him. I mean, he's an independent.
Oh, man, that's good stuff,
Yeah, support him. I mean, I've never used this stuff, but, again, he's one of these independent-type farmer guys, and, again, support these kind of guys. I mean, if you can't get the stuff and Home Depot is where you got to go, fine, get it from there or get it from a health food store. But if you can support a guy like that, that would be better.
I mean, he's just punching a hole in a pine tree and cooking it, that's it.
Well, he's distilling it,
That's what I was doing.
Well, that's what they do commercially as well. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. It smells like a flower, the stuff you get from the Diamond G-Force products.
One other thing I want to mention about BHC.
Yeah.
This is for the guys.
Okay.
It can increase cellular testosterone.
Whoa. Now I'm getting some.
Okay, so now this is one of the reasons why...
Just kidding.
This is some of the reasons why they stopped selling some of these things, because of the protective effect they had on our bodies.
You know, Tony, I did a blood test, and I threw in testosterone anyway, just for fun. You know what my level was?
Off the chart, because you're Mediterranean.
1,000.
There you go. You're good.
1,000.
You know where that's coming from, though?
Is that coming from my Mediterranean genes?
And coming from the colostrum you're using.
Oh, really? I didn't know colostrum did the testosterone like that.
It produces growth hormone.
Of course, the pine pollen, too, which I'm a big fan of.
And that would also do it. But again, the growth hormone part of it, and the pine pollen would definitely do it.
I didn't know the colostrum. Why does the colostrum do testosterone?
Produces GH.
GH, growth hormones.
There you go.
Oh. Plus, I'm Italian, right?
Well, Mediterranean. Yeah, it's got to be there.
That's right. How can you have all those kids, man?
Right. It's got to be there.
It's got to be there. Oh, good. Well, might as well be Italian. And so, well, Tony, as always, it's an honor to have you here. Thanks for all your fine work. We got 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I didn't think we didn't make too many people angry. So thanks a lot. Quickly, it's Herbs and Beadworks on the YouTube, right?
Yep.
And the website, again, to get the written material, you know how to say it the best?
http:// augmentenforce.50webs.com.
augmentenforce.50webs.com. You can look on the December 2012, and then look on December 7th for the whole thing on the mycotoxin and the grains, right?
That would be a good suggestion. And always remember one thing, controversy is not always a bad thing.
It's not always. I think it's a good thing.
I think it provokes thinking.
Do you still have those little things that you're selling with all your stuff on it?
Oh, the flash drive, yes, I do.
What do you call those?
What
do you call those little things?
The flash drive with 32. It's a 32 gig flash drive with 30 gigs of information, and we've got the 120 videos of the YouTube.
Wow.
Got radio shows. I've even got some of our interviews on there as well.
Cool.
As again, as a bonus so that people can hear us. It also promotes One Radio Network.
Cool.
We've got on there as well as 3 books I put out, and we put on as a bonus. We've got
Okay, Tony, we're totally out of time. The music is gone. How do they get one of those? Email you?
Just email me. We'll go from there.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Tone.
All right, take care.
See you. Bye. He's a good one. Tony Pantalleresco is just a guy, knows a lot of stuff about health. Andrew Saul tomorrow. I think we're going to do a couple hours with him for as long as we want. That'll be tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I love you all very much. Thanks, Sharon, everything.
Broadcasting from the beautiful Hill Country in Texas, this is OneRadioNetwork.com.